Medino akoso amayeni medamu nyina ase.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Before I go ahead to give the response, let me correct this. The institution I attended in South Korea, Presbyterian University and Theological Seminary, not technology. Presbyterian, PUTS, Presbyterian University and Theological Seminary in South Korea, Seoul. And that is the name of the university. So please take note of that. You are welcome once again. My dear brothers and sisters, we are privileged to be gathered here today as part of our ministerial training to fellowship and to share ideas and learn from one another as we consider the topic, the political and economic history of Ghana and its implication for ministry. It is with much humility and gratitude that I acknowledge this kind invitation to serve as the chairman for this important conference. As already hinted by the director, it is important that those of us who minister in a particular context understand the issues within the context, if we will be able to minister meaningfully to the people. And so this conference, it's one that will grant us that privilege to know something about our country so as to aid our ministry here. I do understand there are international participants amongst us. And so for all international participants, we hope that what we will share about our country will also encourage you in your respective contexts. Now, as ministers, we are called not only to preach the gospel, we are also called to demonstrate it. And we do this, whether the preaching or the demonstration, within a particular context. And we know that Ghana's political and economic history, right from the colonial days through independence, has gone through several transitions. And these transitions inform how ministry is executed. And so, tracing this up to our time, what should inform our theology? What should inform our practice of mission? What should inform our pastoral care and our prophetic witness? As the chairman of this CWS, I look forward to learning from our speaker, and I encourage all of us to open up and listen to the diverse perspectives from which our speaker will tackle this topic. And it is my prayer that the Lord will guide the presentation, that the Lord will bless our deliberations, and use this conference to equip us so that we minister faithfully to the people of Ghana and beyond. On this note, once again, I'm glad and I accept this to chair the conference. God bless us all. Amen. I will continue to introduce our speaker for this occasion. And so to help us understand the political context and the economic context of our country, we have one of our very own. If I say one of our very own, I mean he was trained here and he completed the SMT program. In fact, he once sat where you are sitting now. And by the grace of God, he has been commissioned, and because of his knowledge and expertise in this area, He is the one invited to speak to us this morning on the political and economic history of Ghana and the implications for ministry. And he is here for this enriching experience and engagement, not for the pride of it, but for the competence. Our speaker today, as I've indicated, is a fresh, newly commissioned minister, very fresh with the anointing. Interestingly, he is a January born. Yeah, he's a January born. He was born on 3rd January 1981 in Asamankese, and his hometown is in Somenya. Regarding his educational qualification, he attended Pope John's SHS and then proceeded to the University of Ghana, where he did his BA in political science with philosophy and continued with his MPhil also in political science. He also took a program with the Akrofi Christola Institute of Theology and Mission and Culture, and so he holds an MA in Theology and Mission. He is a lecturer in political science at the University of Education, where he also did his PhD, specializing in social policy and public administration and political economy. He is a member of the University Governing Council. Just recently, after he left his commissioning to the House, he was elected as the National Vice President for UTAG. So he's going to serve for 2 years from 2025 to 2027. Let's give him a clap for that. Vice President-elect, national, UTAG National Vice President-elect. And he has been with UTAG for several years. He began as a treasurer, UTAG University of Uniba, and served as secretary, rose to become the vice president, and became a member of the NEC. And so you can see the progress he has made throughout this. His research areas: social protection, conflicts and conflict resolution, national politics, conflict and peace studies. Regarding ministry, he has been very instrumental in the church, right from the grassroots, and by the grace of God, he has risen through the ranks. He worships with the Emmanuel Congregation, Gomua Potson, in the Winneba district of the Central Presbytery, where he is the minister. Our speaker, the Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Tei Amano Latte, is married to Mama Jennifer Aso Amano Latte, and they are blessed with 3 children. My dear brothers and sisters, let us please rise as we welcome the Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Tei Amano Latte, our speaker for today's conference. Shall we please take our seats? So, Papa Speaker, for the rest of the time till 11 o'clock, we will have you make a presentation, after which we will take some question and answer time. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Papa. Once your teacher, always your teacher. So, Papa, thank you so much for the generous introduction. Papa Director and tutors, I bring you greetings. Oh, and trainees, I bring you greetings from the Winneba district. And my colleagues, I informed them that we have been honored to come and make a presentation here, and they extend their greetings to you all. It is unfortunate that we could not score the 3rd years, as the tradition has always been. But no problem. We got the 1st years, and we beat them well. That's just by the way. So for this morning, we are going to look at the political and economic history of Ghana and its implications on our ministries. But the challenge that I had was that I did this course for first year, second year. So it's like two semesters. And I have to reduce it to just about 2 hours. So there are some few things that we left out. Should there be questions that touch on them, then we will go to those issues. But as much as possible, I'll try to highlight the key issues in Ghana's political history, and we'll look at the relevance of such key events. And one other thing is that when I teach this course for students to write exam on, when I begin, then they start saying that, this man is CPP. Then as we move along, he's NDC. Then by the time I start talking about J. Kufuor, the man is NDC. So I tell them, I'm a Ghanaian. But I do vote. But where I vote, I don't think matters that much. What matters is that we will try to objectively look at the political history of Ghana, the economic history of Ghana, and we take some few things back home with us to help us and to guide us. I believe that we need to, as ministers, be very informed. I am made to understand that the work of a minister, and I've ever asked that, can I do proper ministry? Because when you look at how our tutors, they know almost everything. And I realize I know next to nothing. How can I get there? And it all comes by, hard work. They are working hard. I pray that I'm able to work as hard as they are, and so that I'll also get to know a lot. But it is important that we get to understand the politics of Ghana. And when we talk about politics, we say, political scientists say, that politics is ubiquitous. Politics is everywhere. In fact, everything about us is politics, because politics, we can reduce it to decision making. So once we make decisions on a daily basis, we are involved in some politics. Once you are making choices, you are involved in some politics. And that is what we need to understand, that it will not be proper that as a minister, we have little understanding of the political context and economic context in which we do our ministry. So I pray that we'll be able to do that within this short time. So I will start by looking at some theories. So some theories, then quickly we will look at a chronology of political and economic events in this country. And during the second session, we'll look at ministry implications, and I also share my thoughts. So that will be the presentation for the day. Can we please get the slide rolling if it is available? So I start with some theories. I'll start with the theories of the state. Some philosophers have come up with how the state came into being. And those who read political science here, it will be very short. That there are some contractualists. They believe that the state came into being as a result of contracts that were signed. And one of those contractualists, Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes believed that society was a wicked one. It was brutal to those who were weak. And that those who will survive in the state, in the system, will be those who are strong. What it means is that those who are weak, there is a need for them to find some protection. There is a need for them to be protected. So they decided to owe allegiance to the stronger. So the stronger then will protect them. So there was more or less a contract that was signed. Not signed as in ink, no, but there was a contract of a sort. So that the stronger will protect the weaker. And in exchange, the weaker ones will give their freedoms to the stronger. So the stronger now decides for the weaker ones. Are we part of the weaker ones, or we are the strong? We are part of the stronger ones. Apart from Rousseau, another philosopher, John Locke. John Locke had a different perspective of the state. He did not see the state as brutish as Thomas Hobbes saw it. He saw the state to be organized, such that it was for the mutual benefit of all that the state came into being. Then we go to Rousseau. Rousseau also thinks that within the state there should be absolute freedom. He stresses absolute freedom. And my colleagues, don't we see that being propagated by some people today? That let them be free. A man wants to marry a man. Let it be so. Freedom, total freedom. So for Rousseau felt that let there be total freedom. Freedom said that there will be no regulation. And in that sense, you will notice that there will be chaos. That once there are no freedom, there are no regulations on the extent to which we enjoy our freedoms, there is going to be chaos, because what will give me happiness might not be what will give you happiness. In that sense, at the end of the day, we are going to have a lot of trouble, because I am pursuing my happiness. In pursuit of happiness, you're also pursuing your happiness, and we are going to have clashes. So that would be the contractualist. It is the next slide, please. That would be the contractualist. Now we have the Marxist theorists. The Marxist theorists also have a belief that the state as we have it, it is only a creation in order to help perpetuate a class system. So we have the ruling class, and we have the masses. So the bourgeoisie, they will always occupy the business and politics. They are there, they are ruling. And if you look at the political history of Ghana, you look some names they have cut across our history till date. Akufo-Addo, one. Mahama, one. Bawumia, another. So the Marxists, are they right? At the end of the day, I leave those conclusions to us all to make individually. So for the Marxists, they believe that society really is there to ensure that class system is maintained. Well, so for them, we will be able to break that class system once we are able to organize society where there will be a popular uprising by the masses. So the working class, the proletariat, they will rise up one day and overthrow the ruling class, so that there will be no class. We will all be equal. Since Karl Marx, that thing has never come to pass. And we are here to see whether there will be a time where the ruled will be able to rise up to overthrow the ruler. In fact, what you use to overthrow the ruler is given to you by the ruler. They decide what you learn in school, and they are controlling your mind. They decide what you eat. Now GMO, many things, those things are controlled by the rulers. So how can the ruled ever come up to that consciousness to fight against the ruled? Well, that is another thing that we can look at. Then we have the dependency theorists. Sorry. The dependency theorists, what they believe is that society is created such that the West, they have created a system. They have created a system where we have two groups. So there is a center and there's a periphery. So the Western countries, they are the center countries. And the peripheral countries, or the peripheral states, Africa, Latin America, some Asian countries, we are the periphery. Now what really happens is that the center nations, they have the money. Their economies are developed. And they rely on the periphery states, like Ghana, for raw materials. So for gold, they will come here, take our gold. For diamonds, they will go to Botswana for diamonds. For cotton, they will go to Egypt. So they are just taking from us. And unfortunately, they don't pay us what is worth what they are taking. And they have created systems to perpetuate that particular equation, so that we become perpetual producers of raw materials. And they get the raw materials very cheap from us. They finish, they add value, and they bring them back to us. And we buy expensive. So the money that we use, resources we use to buy the things that are coming from here, they are so much that at the end of the day, when you balance the equation, it tilts towards the West. They are the center countries. Now, what is very painful, according to this theory, the dependency theories, is that in the periphery nations like Ghana, they have created a dual system. They've created a system where there is a center in Ghana and there is also the periphery. So Ghana is a peripheral country, yes, but there is a center in Ghana, and that is our political and business leaders. When they attend meetings, they sleep in same hotels. They take same food, same restaurant, everything same. So they are the people who are used to perpetuate that particular equation. So our leaders, decisions that come, those decisions are not decisions of our leaders. We will soon see how it has affected Ghana. So all these theories that I'm talking about, I just want it to begin igniting some thought in us as to what is the real situation in Ghana. Which of these apply to Ghana? If you don't take care, you think that all apply to Ghana. As I said, that one, I leave it to you. But for a peripheral nation like Ghana, the leadership in the center country, in the West, take it maybe UK. The British Prime Minister is a friend to the Ghanaian president. President Kufuor and President Bush, they attended the same school, they were mates. The finance minister, President Nanado's finance minister, had mates in government in the US, classmates. So they are those who are used because, in fact, they enjoy same facilities. They travel to the UK for healthcare. And we'll see what happened to Dr. Buzia. Dr. Buzia traveled to the UK to go to attend or to go to hospital and was overthrown. Why didn't he go to Kolebu or Tetekwashi? But he decided to go. They enjoy same things. So for them, they don't see the problem that we see. The road, when I was coming, very terrible road between Swedro and Odan. The car I'm using, light. When they are coming with their 4x4, boo, 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 and they are gone. They don't feel it. I felt it. So that is what the dependency theorists also say. So for the dependency theorists, the world system is such that we have center nations, we have periphery nations. And in the periphery nations, they are able to perpetuate our poverty by selecting few of us and elevating them to the status of their leaders. So they become the center in our peripheral nation, and they are used to perpetuate the exploitation. Now there is the classical theories of development, W.W. Rousseau. He said that there is a linear growth where we start off from a traditional stage where we produce raw materials. So for the production of raw materials, we produce raw materials, we export, and our economy is basically a primary economy. So for him, that stage is there. Then there will be a movement to another level, and that level is a precondition for takeoff. And in a precondition for takeoff, there will be the emergence of a new elite. So a lot more people will be educated, higher degrees. A lot more people will venture into business and all. Transportation will be improved, increased agricultural output. So after the precondition for takeoff, then there will be the third stage, the takeoff stage. And the takeoff stage is where there is rapid growth in one or more leading sectors. Rapid growth. Then there will be the drive towards maturity. Drive to maturity, there is sustained growth and industrial diversification. There will be the adoption of advanced technology. That is for the drive to maturity. And there is the last stage, age of high mass consumption. It is where there is focus from production to consumption. These are the stages that, according to Rousseau, brings about development. So the Ghanaian state, where are we? How many years after independence? Where are we? Are we at the traditional stage where we produce raw materials and we export raw materials? We are still exporting cocoa beans in sacks. How many years of cocoa production? We are still exporting gold bars. The only value we add is that it is melted and formed into a bar, and we send it. That is our beloved Ghana. And there are other examples. Coffee. What happens to coffee? We don't even produce coffee that much in Ghana these days. Timber. How do we export timber? Do we export logs? No more logs, but we cut them into planks and we export the planks. Pathetic. And we import. What we import from them, very expensive. So where are we? I'm only asking questions. Where are we? Papanum, ne mamanum. And now there's a systems theory. Systems theory only talks about how the state is supposed to function. That the state is a system. There are inputs and there are outputs. And that the inputs, whatever you put in, it will be processed and it will churn out an output. So if we see university level 400 final year student not being just some 2 weeks ago, a student brought his long essay. I took the long essay from him and I asked, what is your topic? He couldn't tell me. Problem statement. I am not exaggerating. He could not. What are your objectives? He could not. That is the system we have, where our daughters and sons are punished for not cheating. My small girl wrote BEC. The results came weeping. Sir, Padiki, what is it? Said that her friends who copied got single numbers. She didn't get. So, Padiki, I am so proud of you. We are praying that. She said she wants to go to Every Girls. I am praying that you go to Every Girls so that people will know that you use your own head to write. But we reward. So the system is that we are now rewarding those who cheat and those who struggle. My son had the same challenge. Thankfully, he got to school. So it was okay. And that's an example for the girl. That cheating, my brothers and sisters, they get to class. Some of you are teachers. If you do that, I thought I was in the classroom. I would have said, shame on you. That they read out answers to BC students. And SS, it happens. So when they come to the university and you don't want them to cheat, it is like you are the worst human being on earth. Oh. Well, that is a system that you and we have created. So input, anything you put in, please, the next slide. Anything you put in, you get it out. So I fear for Ghana that in some few years to come, you go to the hospital and the doctor got to the university by cheating. And they did whatever they wanted to do. They got their way and graduated. Those people are going to treat us. One of my friends says something that when the doctor makes a mistake, it is buried. It's true. He kills you. Hey, why am I? Okay, there is something and you die. He comes, he removes the gloves and reports to the family. But when a teacher, that is why we train teachers. When a teacher makes a mistake, it is not buried. That mistake is reproduced and reproduced and produced and reproduced. That is the challenge we have. That is why I believe that the best should rather be teachers instead of the best being doctors. Well, so we now move on to the Nkrumah era. Now I want to move a bit faster. The Nkrumah era. Now Kwame Nkrumah, we know the story. Kwame Nkrumah comes from the US. He's invited. When Kwame Nkrumah was invited, he came with nothing. And he came with patriotism and with a love for Ghana. He comes, supports the UGCC, United Gold Coast Convention, and the UGCC leadership started persecuting him. Why were they persecuting him? Because he was a man who had a lot of time. He was moving around, organizing the young people. The rate at which he was moving the young people to the attainment of independence was a threat to the older folks. Why would it be a threat? It was a threat because it was now challenging their survival. They depended on colonialism. There was a colonial economy. They depended on it to survive. They were the importers. So they would import. Once we get independence, some of those links will be cut. So no, slow down. And Nkrumah said, no, independence now. They said, slow down within the shortest possible time. When Nkrumah asked them, what is your definition of shortest possible time? They had no time. So they fought against Nkrumah and they sacked him. When you read Albert Aduboah's book, Evolution and Change, what he says, was that in Salt Pond, there was a meeting where they were discussing the fate of Kwame Nkrumah. Young people of the UGCC, they called Kwame Nkrumah out, and they told him, Kwame Nkrumah, today, it was on the 11th of August, they told him that Kwame Nkrumah, either you leave the UGCC today and lead us, or go in there and that is the end of you. And Kwame Nkrumah took the opportunity. So he went inside and told them, I'm leaving. And he left. The next day, they formed a party. And that party, from 1949, will go ahead to win all elections that Kwame Nkrumah contested. In fact, Kwame Nkrumah never lost any election because of his charisma and some other qualities that Kwame Nkrumah brought to the table. Now, Kwame Nkrumah was battling for the independence of Ghana. The system was fighting for a delay. And the delay was because they needed to benefit from the colonial economy. And those are the people that we have in Ghana. That generation, their children and their children's children, we are all here. And those are the people we are going to minister to. People who don't want progress because of some benefits. No few. They want to perpetuate an injustice just because it is benefiting them and their families. And that is the Ghana we have. When I was coming, I got to Odan, the bridge, the water, the water. It is not everywhere. I think 3 weeks ago, the children have come to Winneba, so they were worrying me, let's go to the beach. I said, okay. So in my short singlet, we were going to the beach. We're going to have a nice time one afternoon. We got there, and to my shock, I was really shocked. Winneba pa. There's color separation. Brown. Maybe about some 50 or so meters into the sea. I'm not a physicist or nautical. You take the feet. About some 50 meters. It was earth brown. And beyond, you could see clear water. And do you know what angered me? They were dragging nets, and the net was being dragged through the brown water. Galamsey water. Galamsey. Edru Winneba. And they dragged the fish, and there were market 2 men buying the fish. See, yeah? This is our future. Why will people not want Galamsey to be stopped? Papa said, yes, I'm a member of UTAG NEC. UTAG, we declared strike before election 2024. We were branded NDC. Just because it was close to election, and we wanted the government to take a decision. The government was weak. It didn't. The only promise. President John Mahama, those of you who are close to him, tell him. Very soon, he will feel the heat. By grace, in some few days' time, I will be sworn in as vice president. He will feel the heat. I told my friend that if they bribe me, I will just, whatever they bribe me with, I'll come to Papa Popolampo's house. I told Dr. Asante that I'll come to Papa Popolampo that, Papa, I pray that nothing will be able to sway us from the truth. So we signed a pact with all the political parties. And they signed that they were going to fight against corruption. They were going to fight against, most importantly, Galamsey. 8 months. Nothing has been done. On NEC, we are putting pressure on the national executives. Let there be strike. I don't know what has gone on, but they are slowing down. In SMP, money does things. Well, so that for Kwame Nkrumah in that day, it is happening. Those things are real. They are real. And I'm told, even in the church, some of those things are there. So let's be mindful. The church is not full of saints. There are demons and there are wizards. So Kwame Nkrumah, amidst these things, then opposition came. The UGCC, elements of the UGCC, they found themselves, and in a certain way, they were able to form the NLM. NLM was an Ashanti-based party. There were other groups like the Anlo Youth Organization, the Gansefas Association, the Northern NPP, Northern People's Party, the Muslim Association Party. So you listen to the names. NLM was Ashanti-based. Anlo Youth Organization, based on in Anlo. Then Togoland Congress, Togoland. Northern People's Party, NPP. So the names, they were all sectarian or ethnic. So Kwame Nkrumah, to defend himself, he said, no problem, I'll deal with them. And in fact, what really made Nkrumah become a bad leader was the threat on his person, on his life. So it got to a time Nkrumah was not safe. So he decided to tackle those things. So first, he came up with the Deportation Act. There were some foreigners who were funding opposition parties. And he said, no, so Deportation Act. If you don't have papers, go. And he was able to get them out. In fact, they were targeted, some Syrians. He got them out of Ghana. So the funding for the NPP reduced. They were weaker. They became weaker once your funds go. Then there was the Avoidance of Discrimination Act. By the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, any group that was based on regional or ethnic, that was regional or ethnic base, that group will cease to exist. So he was able to effectively deal with all the opposition parties because none was a national party except the CPP. In fact, he also had an agenda. He was making Ghana a one-party state. We should also bear that one in mind. With that done, he had dealt with them. Now, he decided to now deal with the individuals. So he had dealt with foreigners. He had dealt with opposition parties. Now he was dealing with the individuals. There was the Preventive Detention Act. And by the PDA, the law allowed the president, allowed the state to detain anybody without trial. And it was used against persons like Akweje, Obechebi Lamte, J.B. Dankwa. The people who brought him, he used it against them. Is that not the case today? So it looks like the Bible said it. There's nothing new under the sun. They keep recurring. So he used the PDA to the extent that a sick prisoner was being sent to hospital and Nkrumah called. And that person, there was a U-turn. That person was sent back to prison and he died. He dealt with them. Ruthless. That was the weakness of Nkrumah. He was not able to really manage opposition that he had. And he also amended the law so that he now had the power, please the next slide, the power to dismiss justices of the Supreme Court. So Chief Justice, he could dismiss Chief Justice. This one, I won't say anything. Oh, you are here, so you don't know what is happening. Eh? Okay, then let me tell you. When you come down there, now you are here, everything is spiritual. When you come down there, the Chief Justice has been dismissed by the President. Kwame Nkrumah did it. John Mahama has done it. So Nkrumah's economy. The colonial economy that Nkrumah inherited, I think we've spoken about it, where we produced raw materials, we exported timber logs, we exported gold, everything we exported raw, no value addition. And we rather imported everything finished, very expensive. Nkrumah came, he was preaching socialism. So people thought that Nkrumah was coming to implement socialist policies. He came, and the world system meant that he could not do that. He needed funds for the Kosovo Dam hydroelectric project. It will come from Kaiser, US, UK. How can he be socialist and get funds from them? So Nkrumah was pragmatic. He became socialist. He implemented a laissez-faire economic system. And that also hurt the economy. Agriculture was busy. He invested into agriculture. He felt that there should be mechanization. The latter part of his governance, he tried to mechanize agriculture. There was a little success over there. He decided from the 1960s, when we became a republic, in trying to implement his socialist ideology, he tried to make the economy a state-led economy that is gradually tilting towards socialism or communism. And he didn't live long enough to see that one implemented. Please, let's move on. The next slide, please. So roads, yes, development, like John Mahama would say, unprecedented. And we should bear in mind that Nkrumah had foreign reserves like none other. A lot. Ghana had no external debt. We had a lot of reserves. So he had the money to do what he did. So the railway lines improved and increased. Airline, we got the national airline, which is now a restaurant in Accra. There was a Black Star line, shipping line. Please go to the next. There was a shipping line. Nkrumah started these things from scratch. Some of the achievements of Kwame Nkrumah. Then, schools. I'm in education, so the schools. As of 1957, when he became president, primary schools, there were 1,083. As of 1966, there were 8,144. Middle schools. Let's get to the university. There was one university, the University of Ghana. As at the time he was living, he had added UCC and added KNUST. If every president leaves 2 universities. But UTAG, we are also questioning why they are just multiplying universities and not investing in them. Give us opportunity to raise revenue. Parliament says no. Yes, some way. You see, the challenge that we have, that's why we keep fighting with GTech and with the ministry. Let me not do my Utah politics here. And out of these schools, the secondary schools, Presbyterian Church, we also have a share. We need to say it. We have a share. Please, let's go to the next, Presbyterian Church. And the fall of Nkrumah, corruption, massive. Golden Bird, one of his ministers, Krobedu say, I don't know how he decided to pick the name Krobo. Krobedu say, yes, a golden bird. How? Was it gold-plated or solid gold? But a bird made of gold. What a romantic man. For his wife. And there was intolerance. We've spoken about the way he was able to deal with opposition. He did not tolerate opposition at all. Then another, immorality. Nkrumah was accused. He himself was accused of immorality. And that particular accusation has never left our politics. We have accused them to date. We are still accusing them. JM, Mameno, and Papa No. You are saying, you know. And Kwame Nkrumah had a desire to rule Africa, United States of Africa. That particular vision, had it come to pass, Africa, the African condition would have been different. Look at Africa. In fact, it is on record. Africa is the richest continent. Per square mile or square kilometer, Africa is the richest. Our soil, the fertility of our soil, I don't know. It's just too fertile. And you even throw seeds, it will germinate and it will fruit for you. Our land. The human beings, very strong. Intelligence. But what has happened to our intelligence? They have told us that indigenous technology is fetish. I do ask when I teach development, I ask them some questions that the Apotoyoa, the earthenware bowl, look at the name they've given it. Apotoyoa. You know Apotoyoa or Asanka? The Dangways will say, Kan. When they used to grind pepper, those things. Now we have blender. But the question that I keep asking my students, they should think about it. Had it not been for the blender, what would have happened to us? Would we have still be using the Potoyowa the difficult way? I believe that it would have been, there's a possibility that we would have improved it, even to a better one. But what the West have always done is that they interrupt your development. They truncate it. So they bring something that will stop you from thinking. And you become dependent on them. And that's what the dependency theorists, they say. Whether true or not, well, we leave it to ourselves. So we wanted to rule Africa. United States of Africa. I'm spending too much time on Nkrumah. That is why they say I'm CPP. Now, the reason was that a country like Guinea. Guinea gained independence, and there was nothing. They were left with nothing. Nothing means nothing. You enter the office, and the colonial authority, they left with even paper. They didn't leave any file in the offices for them. They left with everything, punishing them, Sekou Touré. They were punishing Sekou Touré for independence. He was crying for help. How does he form government without even paper? Without typewriter? Nothing. Nkrumah said, no, this is a fellow African country. Nkrumah pays Ghana's money and gives him start government. Nkrumah didn't do it to just Guinea, others. How evil is this? But one of the reasons they overthrew Nkrumah was that they said that he was spending Ghana's money on other African states. You see how selfish we want Ghana to be. But well, Nkrumah also had the ambition of ruling Africa. So he was building his base. And Nkrumah started picking titles for himself, like Afenyo Maken is doing these days. Hey. Afenyo Maken now, he says that he is Osahin. Yeah. Osajefo, Kwame Nkrumah gave himself Osajefo. He was a show boy. And he was doing things, dangerous things. And the issue of Kankan Nyame, please, let's go to the next slide. Kankan Nyame, that one, recently I watched a clip where it is said that the one who drew that Kankan Nyame thing, he has come out, that it never existed. They commissioned him to come up with something to tarnish the image of Nkrumah. So he came up with a drawing of Kankan Nyame, but it never existed. True or not, I don't know. Okay, there was abuse of power, arbitrary use of the PDA, and the Rhodesian mission. He was committing Ghana soldiers to go and fight in Zimbabwe. And the Ghana army didn't understand. They were even going to fight in South Africa. He didn't understand. It is South Africa's war. Let them fight against the apartheid government. Why should we go and fight? Ghana army, they fear for their lives. They are not ready to die. So it will be one of the reasons they will overthrow Kwame Nkrumah. And the Kulugugu bombing and what it made Kwame Nkrumah. That after those threats on his life, in fact, at the Flagstaff House, it is on record. Dubois reported it, and Godkin also reported it, that one of his guards opened fire on him and missed. How? A soldier trained all your life to defend and to kill where necessary. And one human being is in the office. You are there with the one human being. You shot and missed. So he fired and, well, he missed. He could not kill Kwame Nkrumah. That man died. Balmy, they'll kill you. So these things, in his office, they have tried to kill him. At Kulugugu, they had tried to kill him. And all those things. So Kwame Nkrumah became something else. It created a monster out of the president we had. And he had become pro-communist. That would be one of the reasons. Please, the next slide. That would be one of the reasons for the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. After the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, then comes in the National Liberation Council. They came to liberate us. Let's go, please. In liberating us, they reversed almost everything Nkrumah had done. So the 7-year development plan was thrown overboard. Well, there were some projects that were not necessary. Like the Kwame Nkrumah was building a restaurant that to be revolving. You know, Kwame Nkrumah, he had vision. Trade fair, that thing was thrown away. They reduced the number of ministries from 32 to 17. So reduction in the number of ministries, not new. Then reduction in the district from 167 to 47. And our foreign missions, they cut it down by 40%. These were some of the things. Let's go to the next one, please. And getting to the end of Nkrumah's era, we had shortages in the economy. Consumer goods were not coming. Milk, they were very expensive. When the NLC took over, and in fact, I must also mention this, that when the NLC took over, immediately, the U.S. ambassador himself donated money. Himself, his personal money. Not from the USO, he himself, personal. And they say it is not declassified that the US had a hand in the removal of Nkrumah. Personally, he gave. The UK, personally, the UK High Commissioner gave, personal, his own money, he gave. The NLC got a lot of support. Lebanese supported. And the Lebanese, their case is some way. Whichever government comes, they will support. Business. And I think we should teach our congregants. My thoughts, I will share some of them. If Zoom Lion, NDC comes, Zoom Lion, apart from the corruption issues, if he's doing correct business and NDC comes, parties need to be financed. And he decides to finance a party. NDC and MPP, that's what they say. Whichever party comes, he has his business running. He will pay his tithe. That isn't why we promote him, but that means he will pay. Presby, who are we promoting as a church? Business. I'm told he belongs to the Church of Pentecost. Tobinco. And for Tobinco, I'm told that once there was an issue over, is it FDA or so? The chairman for the Church of Pentecost went to the Flagstaff House. Sure. Moderator will do it for us, we know. Hallelujah. So the NLC comes in, and the NLC, they brought K. Ebuzia. In fact, I didn't mention this. K. Ebuzia was persecuted by Nkrumah, so K. Ebuzia ran away into exile, UK. He ran away because it was alleged that the French government had paid Buzia to organize the military for a coup. And they found out he ran for his life. NLC comes and they bring Buzia back to Ghana. And they gave him a position that exposed him to the whole of Ghana, in charge of civic education. So he was moving around. It gets to election time, and they decided to play some games with the remnants of Nkrumah's party, National Alliance of Liberals. So they banned the use of CPP. So CPP could not be used. They decided to use National Alliance of Liberals. K. Egbedema was in charge. Today, they were announced to Ghana, K. Egbedema has been disqualified. Tomorrow, he has been found to be corrupt, so he's disqualified. The next day, oh, now he can contest. See, they kept doing that to the extent that people were not even sure whether K. Egbedema was running for prime minister. And they promoted K. Ebuzia. K. Ebuzia becomes prime minister then. Can we please move to the next one? So Edward Akufo-Addo is elected president. Under Buzia's government, we had a parliamentary system of government where you have a prime minister and a president. So Edward Akufo-Addo was elected president. That Akufo-Addo will have a son. And that son one day will become president. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So now you understand the center periphery thing by those theorists. I'm not saying it is true, I'm only... So the Akufo-Addo was elected president. But there was one thing that I believe heightened ethnicity being brought into politics. The prime minister, Buzia, is reported to have said that Evers are inward looking. And Agama was a member of parliament. Agama on the floor of parliament also said that Buzia was a tribalist prime minister. And that was it. It became a big issue. And I think it has remained in our politics to date. Someone heard my name. Te Amano Lati from Krobo area. He's NDC. When I heard that, I said, have I ever declared the party I belong to? Just because of my name. If you are called Agbeku, that one. And if you are called Ejepon, straight, Achampon. And it's interesting. But I have studied the NDC. Look at the NDC. Apart from Jerry Rawlings, who is even half, how many Evers are in charge of the NDC? It is really accounts who are in charge of the NDC, accounts and Northerners. Forgive me for using these stereotypes. I don't mean to bring these difference, but for purpose of learning. Look at it. Northerners. Accounts. If you want any control, it's rather the Fantis. who are controlling the NDC. The Fantis have given us Atta Mills. They have given us Pakwesi Misata. They have given us the current vice president, the Ahoys. Powerful people in the party. Well, and you can name, and so on. So the prime minister, again, there was a massive thing. Because the economy was suffering, he went to the IMF and World Bank for help. And they decided that, okay, that is excellent, we'll help you. But there will always come with conditionalities. That is why some people believe that those conditionalities that they give, they are meant to keep us down. They'll tell you, deregulate, do this. So they told Buzia, deregulation. So sack civil servants. Some 568 civil servants were sacked. The case went to court, and the court said that that could not be the case. They should be reinstated. And Buzia said no court could order him to employ anybody. He didn't bring them back. That was the Salah case. Please, the next. So those were mistakes that K. Buzia started making. There was liberalization and the foreign direct investment. I think I spoke about it. The Aliens Compliance Order, it will come back to hand Jerry Rawlings. This act that was passed in 1969, it will be in the 1980s that it will come back to hand Jerry Rawlings. Unfortunate, but it did. Where all foreigners without proper documentation. Now, he also was sacking foreigners because there was a belief that Kwame Nkrumah, as president, he allowed Ghana to become the mecca for nationalist movements. So nationals from neighboring countries came to Ghana for refuge. And Nkrumah was training them. I have one book written by Nkrumah towards a revolution. He was training people how to go and remove their governments. Kwame Nkrumah for you. So that they had remained in Ghana. Nkrumah was gone. They were still in Ghana. He said, no, those people should go back. Unfortunately, the law also caught a lot of Nigerians. They were asked to go back home. And they went. That part will be in the freezer. We will reopen it in 1980. Austerity measures. Austerity. That there was a freeze on salary increments. Taxes, they increased taxes. But the anger was that as there was a freeze on these things, for the ruling class, the center, they were growing large, elephantized. Because for them, they were above the law, so to say. And there was external co-optation, the major reason. Those who, you remember, J.H. Mensah. J.H. Mensah was a minister for finance and economic planning under Buzia. Now what happened was that because the West wanted Buzia to devalue the currency, and in Ghana, the one thing that Ghanaians hate is devaluation of the currency. Any government that devalued the currency was removed. That has been our history. So when Buzia was devaluing the currency, J.H. Mensah was his finance and economic planning minister. He advised him, don't. So he decided to do something. He decided to separate the ministry. It was Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. He said, no problem, I am the Prime Minister. He separated it. Now there was a Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Economic Planning. Simple. So, J.H. Mensah, take off finance. Prime Minister, I will be in charge of economic planning. I will devalue. Simple. My mate, Papa Beck, will say, fe. He did it. He separated a ministry. And he had his way. His mistake was that, in fact, there was a certain group, Harvard Advisory Committee, that was brought by the IMF. They were advising Buzia against the advice of Ghanaian economists. So he was listening to the Harvard Advisory Committee, and he made those mistakes. Not long, he was out as Prime Minister. That is what we call the external co-optation. Some people do things not because they want to do it, but because they are being controlled. Then there was the devaluation of the currency. I've mentioned around 44%, and that was it. Then another, an anti-African foreign policy, apartheid. Kwame Nkrumah had committed Ghana to fight. In fact, he was ready. Had he not been removed, he would have sent Ghana army to South Africa to partner with the blacks to fight against the white minority government, apartheid. He was going to do it. And he was removed. When Buzia comes, Buzia comes in and says that, South Africa will rather dialogue. What angered Pan-Africanists was that we have been dialoguing for decades. It had never worked. What makes you think that we should continue to dialogue? There was a need to get up in arms and go and fight. Get the whites out. Well, it wouldn't be until the 1990s that they would gain their independence. Then in the midst of these things, there was a young man. He was a colonel. In fact, he said that he had been nursing the ambition to overthrow Buzia long ago. But he will give some reasons. I said this thing earlier, that whilst Buzia was away in UK for medical care, at home, he was out. He was asked, maybe don't return. So he was on a medical trip and it happened. And the reason they gave, inefficiencies in the economy, the management, that Buzia appeared not to be in control. The foreigners were those who were in control. And that Buzia had devalued the currency. Devaluation of the currency was a major problem. Please, let's go to the next. And there was also the rejection of the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. That was a major reason they gave. And it got the support of the people. You have asked that we should tighten our belt. We have tightened our belt. You have not just loosened your belt, you have thrown the belt away. They were moving about in luxury. And that is what angers, that one I even get angry. That you have asked us to reduce spending we have. It's okay, no problem. You give me 11% salary increment. It's okay, no problem. You give me 11%, and just about 2 weeks later, in Parliament, they give themselves like double. And you were asking, how? We thought that it will affect all public sector workers. But you parliamentarians, you go and sit and you do things quickly. You approve huge things for yourselves. So if we strike, hello? Oh, these things. Now, the issue was that they said that promotion was skewed towards pro-Kotoka officers. And that the ethnicity thing will show up again. That every officers had the belief that if they are able to kick out Buzia, who was an Akan, then promotion in the Ghana Armed Forces in the army will favor them, the Evers. You remember there had been a banter between Agama and the Prime Minister. So that thing had even seeped down into the army, which is supposed to be a force that deals with reason, not with these sentiments. But yes, it went into the army. And if it is still there, it tells you we have a problem. I hope it is not in the church. It is not in our church. And the Buzia government's decision to broaden its mission. The army did not want to do anything like go and build bridges. They didn't want to hear that. We are an army. We do things that army is supposed to do, not building bridges. But the Buzia government felt that you are in Ghana, there is no war. What are you doing? You are just paying salary. So there is a broken bridge. Is it engineering battalion or if there's any soldier here, forgive me. But they were asked to go and reconstruct the bridge or something, and they got angry. That one day they didn't do well. And Buzia, he described Achampon's coup as an officer's amenities coup, arising from his effort to save money. So that is a coup that in political science we call the officer's amenities coup. That it was purely because he wanted some things for himself and his officers, not because he wanted to protect the interests of Ghana. So when Achampon comes in, Achampon revalues the currency. So there was a revaluation of the currency. Oh, these things have become too small now. And he restored certain subsidies. Certain subsidies that were taken off because of the IMF conditionalities. He decided to restore them, so there was a restoration. Now, civil servants and public servants' allowances were also restored. So those things that were unpopular, that K. Buzia implemented, he came and he decided we are reversing all of them. Let the people have some cash. So he decided to reverse them. National self-reliance policies. One of the brightest moments, spots in Achampon's government was the Operation Feed Yourself. In fact, on record, Operation Feed Yourself was not the brainchild of Achampong. In fact, it would have been implemented by Buzia if he had been given time. So it was part of the national plan. Unfortunately, he was out. Achampong comes in, implements it, and gets the glory. So we give it to him. Achampong implemented Operation Feed Yourself. And that was the only time in Ghana's history, in our modern history, where Ghana was self-sufficient in food production. To the extent that we were exporting grains. Ghana. We have done it before. Now, we import maize. We import groundnuts. We import beans. We import, as for rice, let's not even say it. We import almost everything. I heard that we import cocoyam from Cote d'Ivoire. And now I was scandalized. Toothpick, you know, Papa? Toothpick. Eh? How? But Achampong, a military guy without any degree in economics, he led the country. We were exporting food. What happened to us? And Operation Feed Your Industries, that one did not succeed. Apparently, the model that was supposed to have graduated from the Operation Feed Yourself to the Operation Feed Your Industries, they didn't work well. Now for Operation Feed Yourself, I don't know how many of us in our homes, how many of us have backyard gardens? I mean backyard garden where we plant food. Great. Thank you. Yesterday, I watered my tomatoes and pepper. Backyard garden. So we encouraged it. I don't buy pepper. I don't remember the last time we bought tomatoes because we are planted. What will happen is that my little economics is that what you mean is the demand that I would have put on the market is now off. If you do it, it will get to a time that the little that comes to the market, because there will not be so much demand, the price will be stable. But when we don't plant and we are all buying, the market woman or man, being a rational businessman, will increase the price to the highest bidder and get more money. Then inflation goes up. So backyard garden, let's go back to Operation Feed Yourself. When you go back home, do it. Even in pots or plastic bags. Dr. Santi did one for RTC. Behind, yes, the remnants are still there. We need to revive it. Dr. Santi should come back and stop. Okay. Please, let's move on. Let's go to the next, please. And Achampong, popular for some things. Number one, popular for Operation Feed Yourself. Popular for Yentuya, and popular for another thing. That thing I can't say here. his ever green pen. Once Achampong signs green pen, green ink, you're the bank manager, you fly to give the loan to the young lady. What the transaction that took place, but please, the Yentuya policy, Achampong comes in, and because Buzia and the IMF had come to his aid, a lot of loans have been contracted on behalf of Ghana. Buzia comes in and they say, no, these loans, we didn't ask Buzia to go for loans. So Yentuya, it was Yentuya policy. Do you know what happened? His Yentuya policy, the West came to him. Master, kill Yentuya. Kill Abetuya. But what happened was that Ghana was saved a lot of money. In that, there was a rescheduling of the repayment plan. In fact, we paid, after the payment we paid. But they rescheduled it. So that when Ghana's economy was a bit okay, then we could pay. Some we had 25 years to pay. It was due when Achampong was in. But he was given a grace period, 25 years. And he was given 25 years. He had 10 years grace period. It tells you, at time when you are militant in these things, they help. And he was able to get it for us. So the Yentuya policy, popular, it got us some benefits. Please, let's move. The next slide, please. Okay, some projects dams for irrigation projects. He was serious with agriculture. And this some of these things will feed into the operation Feed Yourself and all. Another thing, now he started facing challenges. That the challenge was that on the world market, the major export products, we were not getting value for money. So once cocoa prices fall on the world market, because we are primarily a primary product exporting economy, once prices fall, we are doomed. And you can't store cocoa for long. Kwame Nkrumah was building the silos. When you go, those huge things, the silos that Kwame Nkrumah was constructing, he was kicked out and they were left to rot. Pathetic. And that thing will happen in the Fourth Republic, where governments come and affordable housing, they are in the bushes. You know? And, well, when we get there, we'll talk about them. Now, hardship in the economy. He experienced a lot of hardships. Our export commodities are talking about that one, drought and bushfires. His policies didn't work as he wanted. So these things, they drew Ghana back in the economy. And when the economy starts going bad, what happens is that all other things are affected. So the economy really is the one that drives everything. Please, let's move on. And on top of that, consumer goods. I don't know what the issue of milk and sugar. Ghana, if we don't have milk and sugar, it is enough for coup to take place. So when you read the literature from Nkrumah's days, once we have shortages of milk, sugar, sardine, it is enough for the government to have troubles. In Liberia and Sierra Leone, when I studied for my MPhil, my master's was in conflict. In Liberia, Sierra Leone, it was rice. In fact, the Liberian Civil War and the Liberian coup, it really started, it was precipitated. The immediate cause was when there was a high rise in the price of rice. And they said, no, rice is their staple food anyway. Then it started some uprising. Master Sergeant Doe took advantage of it and did what he did. And it plunged Liberia into years of civil war that I believe they are even yet to recover. Civil war. Those who talk about any war BC, please. They don't know what they are talking about. So, when they realized things were not working, they decided to rebrand. The value is the same. They rebranded. They changed their name to SMC1, Supreme Military Council. So, from redemption, now Supreme Military. So, the SMC came. SMC1. But it wasn't anything. They decided to promote the Lieutenant Colonel. They promoted him to, from the Colonel, they promoted him to Lieutenant General. They just wanted to add a new phase. Still, it didn't work. Things were still going bad. Please, let's move on. And one thing, the Unigov. They said that Unigov, let us have a trinity. Trinity of soldiers. So the army, the police, and civilians. Let's come together. Let's form a government. And that government, it is there. We only change the personnel. So today, it is Amano who is there. The party is whichever party, Unigov. Then the next time, it is Papa Ebu. The next time, it is Papa Manasi. So we just keep changing. And Mama Sylvia too. Why Papa and not Mama? So that was the conception. That they wanted a government that to remain not partisan. In a way, they had some nice ideas. We don't need parties. Parties at times, they bring division. But that one too would not work. We need choice. It is natural to us. Variety. So there was a palace coup. Gentleman's agreement. Masa, go home. So they asked him to go. And FWK Akufu took over. He was a lieutenant general. It was within the same government. So Achampon was more or less fired. And Akufu took over and it became SMC2. Now with SMC2, when Akufu came, he was in a hurry for democratization because there was a timetable for a democracy. Please, let's move on. For a democracy to be brought back to Ghana. But it wouldn't be. So he lifted the ban in January 1979. What the year? 1979, January. And in June 4th, 1979. 6 months. So he lifted the ban on political parties for political parties to be formed. And within a very short time, about 20 political parties were formed. Short time. It means we were hungry for democracy. One thing that it will tell me is that it isn't that people were just eyeing the benefits of the presidency, but it will tell you that people were hungry for freedom. When people are hungry for freedom, let's grant freedom. And the SMC too, they did another thing. They devalued the currency. You have few months to go. Why will you even devalue currency? They devalued. And the Ghanaians saw that the SMC too, it was, in fact, the same thing. They said that it was the same vehicle with a different driver. The value is the same. Please, let's move on. And with these things ongoing, then will come a very skinny flight lieutenant, Jerry John Rawlings, June 4th. He came. In fact, political parties have started work towards September election and handover. So by September, there would have been a handing over to a democracy. Then in June 4th, on radio, a voice was heard. The man was panting. He made the announcement. And within those few days, the worst history in terms of human rights abuses in Ghana took place within a matter of about some 3 months. So the membership, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, he was there. Major Mensa Opoku, Osu and Sergeant Alex J. Okay. It will be in fact, it is the PNDC that the names are quite popular. So it happened, the June 4 revolution, where within a matter of some few days, 3 months, the political history of Ghana will never remain the same. Within that time, it is on record that extrajudicial killings, people who were killed without trial, people who got missing, over 180 within a short time. Those on record to have been executed, many. People who just vaporized. They went out and never returned till date. Those things took place. But why Kwame Nkrumah? But Jerry Rawlings comes in at a time when there was no respect for the armed forces. So he came out of anger for the way the institution of the Ghana Armed Forces had been brought into dispute because of the activities and the actions of leaders who had come, especially General Champon. So he came to clean Ghana, he said, house cleaning. And in that house cleaning, it was economic, it was political, it was social, everything. Where you get to the office late, you go to office late, he lines you up and you'll be doing some real drills, real military drills for coming to work late. Tomorrow, you'll be there. In fact, by 3 a.m., you are there waiting. So in a way, some discipline was brought. But in another vein, it also brought down our discipline. Where, when you read the literature, there were soldiers who went back to their hometowns, vendetta, just to punish people who did not help them. Punishment. So they come, and in a market, Makala market, where they will just come, open your shop, sell. Don't come, buy one, get 10 free. And it isn't that they will sell and give you back your money. They sell, and they take the money away as well. When I was on campus, I had a friend, MP, Methodist Presbyterian Students Union. He was secretary. He struggled through campus. And he said that when he was a kid, he remembers that they will come and pour money at home. His parents, his father was rich. They will come and pour money every evening. In the morning, they will take them to the bank. He didn't know what was going on. He was just a toddler. Not knowing his father owned filling stations. He had worked hard. Filling stations. Businessman. Rawlings collapsed the business. The man died miserably. His son struggled through university. These things happened. Unfortunate aspects of our political history. But it is important we know that these things, they happened. Those of us who follow the Truth and National Reconciliation Commission activities, or if you have had opportunity to read the report, but they happened, unfortunately. So these were the things that took place in Ghana, where responsible men and women were stripped naked. And naked means naked. And they were put on 4 ties, struck 4 ties. The one that the yam sellers in Accra, they will heap the yam on. Yes, they put them on it for public display. And they will drag them through the principal streets of Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi. And do you know their crime? Their crime at times was that they went for a bank loan that they will repay. Bank loan. Not that they stole the money. They just went for a bank loan. People felt, why have you built a house? And what will surprise you is that some people were punished because in their homes they had two toilets. That white throne, they had 2. Hey, so is it a crime to want to be decent? So for that alone, why should you have 2 toilets? When others are queuing, public toilet, they are queuing. Why should you have 2? So these things, it tells you the extent to which people took the thing to the extremes. And I don't think that Jerry Rawlings sanctioned these things. I don't think so. But what it did to the psyche of the Ghanaian is that we now have a dislike for successful people. Watch. When you are driving or you are in town and you see a young lady in maybe around 21 driving Prado or Mercedes, what do you say? Oh, your first thought to be, sugar daddy. If someone has been able to buy for some contraband, can't he buy for his daughter? But the first thought that comes when we see young people driving good cars, building, beautiful homes, we say Sakawa, we say Sikedro. We now have a dislike for successful people. I'm not saying we should glorify money. But what I'm saying is that when people are making it, we don't need to really demonize them. If you don't know the source, let's not talk. So a certain culture came into the Ghanaian because of some of these things. So extrajudicial killings, they took place. And it happened that, okay, let's move to the next one. Oh no, please, let's go to PNC. So when these things happened, Rawlings came and quickly. But one thing that we should also remember, that Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings was able to get a lot of money. He gathered money and left the money. He was an honest man then. What happened later? He left the money. He didn't touch. He handed over to Dr. Hilal Liman. And Dr. Hilal Liman had a problem. In fact, it is on record. He could not even organize his own cabinet. His budget. You appoint your ministers. He couldn't get his budget approved with ease. Dr. Hilal Liman had problems in government. And for him, military intelligence informed him that Jerry Rawlings was plotting to come back. And he said it's not true. He trusted Jerry Rawlings. He's my friend. The best thing he could have done was that give him some appointment. Throw him, Australia, military attaché to our High Commission in Australia. Send him far away together with his family. Even, bundle up his house so that he will leave Ghana for you. Do you have a bow when you too as But he trusted him. He trusted him. Like the king in the Bible who went into his storehouse and showed him, these are the golden vessels that we use for rituals in the temple. They came, ransacked everything. So let's watch our trust. I'm not saying we shouldn't trust people, but let's just be careful. So with these things, the PMP government was very unstable. Now, in that instability, General Rawlings will come back, 31st December 1980. That's what happened. Dr. Hilary Mann, president, was invited to a party organized by the Ghana Armed Forces at Bema camp. Military intelligence advised him, don't. Well, it might be your last. He said, oh. So it was around 3 p.m., as the records have it, he informed his assistant and his drivers, we are going for the party. And he went to the party. And he partied hard. Until around midnight, that the president went back. Around midnight, around that time, young officers, in fact, Jerry Rawlings was hiding. They had hidden Jerry Rawlings in the house of, I've forgotten this, so I'll remember. He was sitting in a house in Bema camp, awaiting directives to go to broadcasting house to announce. So the men who were waiting at the Teshi shooting range, they were waiting for soldiers from Bishal camp to come with ammunitions. But the soldiers from Bishal camp did not get there. So around 2 a.m., they realized that now alarm has blown. Whether we do it or not, we'll be killed. But for me not to do that, and wood here, I'll do and woo. So they decided we'll do it anyway. So they just entered Bema camp without any ammunition. They were able to overpower some few guards, got their guns, went further, and in no time they had some armored cars and they had weapons. Now it was time to get Jerry Rawlings. They got Jerry Rawlings and they had to drive him to broadcasting house. And those days, only GBC. So if you announce on GBC that the government is gone, the government will be gone. They got to GBC and they were able to overpower the gas at GBC. And Jerry Rawlings made an announcement. So Jerry Rawlings himself, that coup, on paper, he didn't do much. But the reason why they will go for him will be the trial. Now, there was an abortive coup in May, before the June 4, May 5th, where he made a profound statement. He told the court martial that they should release his men and that his men were acting on his orders. So if there is anything, they should sacrifice him. And the mistake of the government was that they made it public hearing. And this man makes a statement. What he wants, he is ready to die. What a leader. And they gave him the name, Junior Jesus. Yes. And this did the trick. So they knew that they needed someone whose name would resonate with the people of Ghana. Already, Jerry Rawlings was known. He came for the house cleaning. He had left back to the barracks. This is someone who means business. He has principles. So when we get such a person, it will help the coup to succeed. And they put him there. And he succeeded. And it will be from 1981 to 1992. Even that, he was interviewed and he was asked, J.J. Rawlings, when are you handing over? He asked the interviewer, to whom? That will be for the second part when we are concluding. So the PNDC comes in. PNDC comes and the laws they will start introducing, wicked. Now he had come to stay. He didn't come for a short revolution, for a short spell, but he had come to stay. So he started. He formed a junta. Can we please go to the names? Because, okay. So Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, then Brigadier General Nunu Mensah. Does that name ring a bell? Thank you. Then again, Brigadier General Anokwenu. Anokwenu will become the first commander of the ECOMOG. Okay. Then Officer Bwedi. Okay. Sergeant Aloga Akatapore. He staged some counter coup some time ago and he became here in Ghana. I was then a child. I was hearing the name Akatapore. I grew and I read about him. Then Joachim Mamatekwe. This guy, was he sacrificed or it was real confession? I heard sacrifice. Well, we'll talk about that one. Then, Reverend Father Damois. Reverend Father Damois. Chaplaincy. Reverend Father Damois, he was a Catholic priest. Later, his name would become Osofo Okomfo Damois with Africania Mission. Those days on radio, I think it was on Fridays or so, when they start Amira, hey, myself, my junior brother, the way it put fear in us, we would just run out of the sitting room like that, just because they had come on set. It was, I don't know where case, but we felt some sinister something about Osofo Okomfo Damois's thing. Osofo Okomfo Damois will become a key person there, and there will be persecution of the church around that time. To the extent that they even killed, well, why am I making categorical statements? Let me be careful. There was the murder of a Catholic priest who resembled the then editor-in-chief of the Catholic Standard, Archbishop Gabriel Charles Palmer Buckle, and he happens to be a Pujuba. The school I attended. That's it, bro. So, Palmer Buckle was, and the Catholic Standard was always hitting hard. And not just that, let's not forget, the oldest Christian newspaper in Ghana, the Christian Messenger, was also hitting hard. We were part, Presbyterian Church of Ghana. We were there some. So, I said, okay, the Catholic Standard and the Christian Messenger, they were hitting hard on issues of freedom, of right, of justice and equality. In our pulpits today, do we hear such messages of justice, of fairness? Or all we hear about is that you are blessed, Nyambishra, always Nyamishra. Well, so Osofo Okomfo Damois was part. Please, let's move to the next one. So there was attack on religious bodies. And there was a restrictive media space. After the media, they will not even allow you to operate. Kwesi Pratt, Kwaku Baku Jr., Haruna Atta, those persons, they were going in and out of jail like that, especially Kwesi Pratt. Loudmouth, he won't keep quiet. He will go, he will come back, he will write, he will go, he will come back. He did that severally. So between December 1981 and July 1982, 180 people were killed without prosecution. So no court. They were just gone. Please, let's go. Kidnapping, murder on June 30th of 3 High Court judges and a retired army officer. 3 of them. 3 judges. When you read the accounts, I was fortunate to have been asked by Professor Boafuata then to go and do some work for him from the report of the Truth and National Reconciliation Commission, their report, BAM Library. When I was reading some of the things, you wouldn't believe they happened in Ghana. But they went, rounded them up, and that was the end. There have been stories about where the key and those things, that is, well, when you read and you find those ones, fine. But I don't want to go there. But later on, the junta will try some 4 persons. So Amatekwe was one of them. And some 4 soldiers. Now, Rawlings tells the people of Ghana, and in fact, during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's work, they invited him. So he was subpoenaed. And when he appeared, they asked him about that tape. What Rawlings had said was that he had a recording of the last words of Amatekwe. Amatekwe tried and found guilty, plus the other military persons. They were tied to the stake, about to be shot. And Rawlings says that he goes to Amatekwe and said that Amatekwe, what really happened? And with the recorder, Rawlings says that Amatekwe confessed that indeed the Rawlingses, the Chikates, they knew next to nothing about the killing of the judges. People have accused the Rawlingses and the Chikates for being the mastermind behind the killings. And Rawlings says that, Amatekwe says that, no, Rawlings, you had nothing to do with it. Chikates, nothing. He did it. I said, Rawlings, fine. Give us the tape. He said he recorded it when he went to him. His last words before he was shot. He recorded it on tape. So, okay, Rawlings, give us the recording. He said, I gave it to one Al-Hassan, one military friend. Where is Al-Hassan? Dead. So the tape, till date, missing. So the only persons who knew what really happened, Amatekwe dead. That Al-Hassan dead. And now Jerome himself gone. So we will still speculate. So scholars are speculating. Commentators are speculating. The families are bitter. Well, there was a need for them. They asked that Rawlings apologizes for those excesses. And I don't think Rawlings ever did it. And he's gone. So these killings took place. And it had been a dark spot in Ghana's history, especially with regards to the judiciary. With regards to the judiciary. And recently, we've had another case that can dent our image as a democracy. That is the sacking of the Chief Justice. So for politics in Ghana, the political and economic history of Ghana, this one I've just told you stories. Up to this point, up to the PNDC, these were the things that took place. I believe that when we come back from our break, we will now delve into the Fourth Republic current issues. We'll address them and look at the way forward and implications for our ministry. Thank you so much, and God bless us.
Wow. Thank you very much, Papa Dr. Amanolati, for this insightful presentation. My dear brothers and sisters, he's shared with us what the political and economic history of our nation is, how it looks like, the vivid picture that he's painted for us, the transitions that has gone on, and how it affected national development and all. In all these things, the churches were around. How did the churches take it? How did the churches minister within the context? All right. At this time, we would allow for some few questions, and then the speaker would attend to them, and then we will take a short break. So please, the microphone stands. Please, can we get the microphones on? And then those of us who have questions, please you indicate by showing your hand and then or getting to the microphone. So there are 3 microphone stands, one to my extreme left, one in the middle, and the other to the extreme right. So if you have a question, a contribution, a concern, please move to the microphone, identify yourself, and let's hear you. Is it switched on?
Hello.
All right.
So thank you so much, Papa Chair. I'm Benjamin Akimidis Jisam, year 3.
Akimidis Benjamin.
Yes. So my question is actually a follow-up to the remarks you just made. And I want to find out from Papa Latte that during the time where the persecutions and other things were very intense, in addition to the publications in the Christian Messenger and then the Catholic Standard, what was the church-state relationship like, and then religious activities as a general during those periods? Thank you.
Okay, number 2.
Thank you very much, Papa. Eugene Lai, year 3. And mine is a top-up to what my brother just asked. You mentioned that during the Rawlings era, Christian Messenger, Catholic Standard, very prominent in hitting the government. What about prior to that era, the Nkrumah era, the Buzia era, the Champon era? There were a lot of other things that were not quite right, where the church active in terms of speaking the truth to the government during those times as well? Thank you.
All right, please go.
Thank you. Papa, each party that came after Kwame Nkrumah, from my standpoint, meant well for the development of our dear nation. Their policies were all good. But a challenge I have has to do with continuity. What is your expert view on national developmental blueprint for all the parties that come, so that regardless of your policy, you come and you just obey?
Ajay Sergeant, retired. Papa, in your presentation, you mentioned about the killings. Yes, in military operation, there will be death, and death is inevitable. I remember those days, Ghanaians decided those days. There was the statement of let the blood flow and all those things. I didn't hear you saying that, so if you come back, if you want to highlight a little bit on that. But Ghanaians were tired at that time, and they were really, really seeking the blood to flow, and that was the order of the day. And at that point in time, it was normal. Thank you.
All right. Please, let's have you, and then Papa will respond to them, and then we'll take the next set. Yes, it's on.
Hello? Yes, Baba, I'm Stephen Yao Akafo, second year. My concern is on the system theory, and where those who are doing right seem to be neglected and the wrongdoers are rewarded. You made mention of current education system, the BEC, where your daughter came to complain. You are in the education. Is there any hope? And what is the way forward to correct that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Papa will respond to this, and then we will take the next set, if any.
Thank you very much, Papa. Thank you for the questions. Where was the church? And what was the relationship between the church and the state around that time, and even prior to these coups from Nkrumah's era and all? If you look at the political history of Ghana, the church has not actively been involved like in other jurisdictions. In Latin America, for instance, the Catholic Church is very strong. So they are able to speak to issues, and governments have no choice. Governments have no choice but to listen. But in the case of Ghana, literature is really I have not chanced on too many material that talk about church-state relationship with regards to politics. What the church has done has to do with our contribution to the to society. Mostly has to do with education. That one, I know that the church, there is a lot written on that, but church-state relationship in terms of active politics, not much. But the one thing, I couldn't mention everything. The Christian Council has never been silent in Ghana. The Christian Council has always spoken about corruption, has always spoken about issues of injustices that take place in our body politic. So not just the Catholic Church and the Presbyterian Church or the mainline church, but the Christian Council has been doing so. Recently, we have seen the Charismatic and the Pentecostal councils also talking on some few issues. But generally, we have had the church, we have had some of these Christian groups talking about them, and especially championed by the Christian Council of Ghana. Was a church active, okay, in the days of Nkrumah? Views on National Development Blueprint. Yes, I wish that Ghana will have one. And the reason why we are where we are is that we don't have a national plan. We appear not to have a national identity. We appear not to have a common destination as a people. And that is what is affecting us. There was the 7-year development plan. There was a 10-year development plan. There has been a 5-year development plan reduced to 2-year development plan. We had the structure adjustment program, ERP1, ERP2. There was a Vision 2020, Vision 2030. Look at the many developmental plans we've had. And the National Development Planning Commission, the NDPC, how I wish that the NDPC would be made an institution that would be an untouchable institution, in a sense of changing the membership. But each government comes and reconstitutes the National Development Planning Commission. I read a document that was prepared for the late president, Professor Mills, that had to do with the National Development Planning Commission in the then proposed constitutional review. In that proposal, they proposed that there should be a national development plan that cannot be changed by any political party. There was a white paper from the presidency saying no to that particular thing. So it tells you political parties come and they always want to tinker with what is ongoing in order for their names to be left in the minds of people. And that has been a major problem. Donald Trump and the lot of things he's doing, it always fits into the agenda of the United States. Never would they do anything that doesn't fit into their national plan. And unfortunately, we have not reached there yet, even though we should have reached that point long ago. It is an unfortunate part of our political economic life. Let the blood flow. Yes, the people of Ghana called for it. We encouraged the soldiers to kill. When they were stripping our mothers and fathers and uncles and aunties naked in the streets, Ghanaians were clapping and cheering. So it encouraged them, and they did more. So as a society, that is something we'll talk about in the next session. We have a role to play. So in our national psyche, there has been something wrong with that we need to work on ourselves as a people. Yeah, we need to. So the systems, yes. What can we do? What we can do is that if we want the government to do it, it will not happen. If we want the schools to do it, they don't even have what it takes. They don't have what it's. They are not even encouraged. The only solution, in my view, is us, the church. If we have 72% of the Ghanaian population claiming to be Christians, and we have this rot in our society, what does it tell you? What is the pulpit doing in churches? It is failing. But it cannot fail. That is why I believe in the wisdom of the church. We are here.
so that we will be able to do the right things from the pulpit. We can change minds of people. And let's not try it at the YAF level. They are already... but JY, Children's Service, easily molded. But we are rather not paying attention. When you go to some congregations and where the Children's Service worship, it's an apology. Yet they are tiling the main auditorium, the main chapel. So I think that, yes, what we can do is that let us start with our children's service. If my daughter, your daughter, that person's daughter, and all our church members, our daughters and sons, begin standing up for what is right, things will change. Let's also the state, but I have some few friends who belong. Hey, it is create, loot, and share. I am telling you. I say it on TV all the time that, and when you're on TV panel with them, when they go on break, NDC MPP, you are seated in between them. I'm asking whether I'm talking too much. Do you know what they discuss? Now, they are friends. They share. They don't care about education. Their children are attending universities and even high schools. You and I, we are struggling for placement in GH. A system where they'll go to school for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, they're asking them to download materials on TV and learn before they go to school. When you talk about it, they'll say that you are doing politics. And the MPP time, we spoke about it. NDC time, we'll talk about it. We just want the right things to be done. But I think that the change is us. Let's start from ourselves and from our congregations, and I believe we'll see better things in Ghana. Thank you.
Very much. There was one hand just before. Can we take you and then we close? We break for the time. It's okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. You want to ask a question? All right. We will permit it. Just one and then.
Okay. So, Doc, my question is, in our period of reformation, we have been made to understand that in reviewing literature, particularly theological literature, we as Presbyterians will always pick it from the stance of the reformers, because there are other Pentecostal did. So, looking at the key role our history plays in our democratic discourse, having been in the academia, what are some of the key things that in reviewing literature concerning our history should guide us? Because as we talked of the Kankanyame thing, others will also hold a view that in reality it actually happened. We are in an era where we cannot research and make profound statements to favor our political stance. So how do we, as Christians, what are the key things we can note in data to actually get the true picture of our history in order to inform the future going forward? Because I see that there are a lot of twists so far as our history is concerned. What are some of the key things we can see to actually give us a clear picture of where we come from in order to inform the future? Thank you. I don't know if my question is...
You identify twists.
Okay, thank you very much. Papa, I have remembered level 200, Professor Adufenin, he taught me history. And he said that to every historical thing that we want to study, there is always a core of facts, and there is a pulp of interpretation. He used like a seed. That the core is small, it is always there. Hard. But the pulp of interpretation, very fat. What it means is that the fact is there that three judges died, one army officer died. the interpretation will always vary. Another thing, there is one book I tell students about it that they can read for pleasure because it has some facts. Written by Amamu. Ghana, I think 50 years, is about Ghana at 50 something. But that book, he belongs to the Dankwa Buzia Dumbo tradition. Nothing was said good about the Rawlinses and what he did. Nothing good about Nkrumah. Only Buzia and Kufuor. All others demonized. So such a person, I tell you, can read for the facts, but his interpretation is skewed. So don't take his interpretation serious. Take his facts. So once you get the facts, double check. I quoted Albert Edubuahin. He was a presidential candidate for the MPP in 1993. 1992-93. He was a presidential candidate. But his work is read and it is cited by persons across because he stands out as an academic. So for Albert Edubuahin, I can recommend that book. That he has the facts and his interpretations are quite fair. Even of PNDC, of CPP. So for such a scholar, and there are some others who have written, Ghana and the Rawlins Factor, Kevin Shillington, he wrote about Rawlins. He is a foreigner who came to write on us. But it is unfortunate. If you want a lot of information about Ghana, they are not written by Ghanaians. That is very unfortunate. They are written by foreigners. And at times, they rather give us better facts because they get access easily. And they rather give us some objective interpretation. So, yes, always get the fact, but the interpretation, read and read in between the lines, double check with another scholar so that we'll be able to come out with truth that will be a universal truth as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. At this point, we would soon take our break and then come back for the second part. But I would like to remind us of our thought journals. I want to believe that as you are listening, you are also putting down your reflections, you are raising your questions, and you are noting your thoughts, because you would have to submit your thought journals on these ones. Few questions that you may consider, or reflections, thoughts. Realize that throughout the presentation, leadership starts on a very good note, and then in later years, they drift into things that make them unpopular. Did the populists play any role in these digressions? If yes, how? If no, it rests there. But if indeed the populists have a role to play, how should the church or the pulpit respond to this? How do we reflect on this theologically? How did all the happenings affect the spiritual consciousness of the Ghanaian? And how has that shaped the Ghanaians' response to the faith? If it actually did, how may we then now use the pulpit or utilize the pulpit for a national conscientization, so that that awareness, that consciousness may come right from the churches, may come from the pulpit in the quest for national development? I think these are some thoughts that has gone through my mind, and I share this with you for your further reflection. Please, the following people are to visit the registration desk during the break: Dennis Ampumaredu, Henry Ejeyasare, Joshua Mate, Kwame Safo, Moses Niendo, Gifty Victoria Boapia, William Alibizo, Daniel Dodu, Daniel Kakra Adi, and Evans Yaboa Ado. Please visit the registration desk during the break. We take our break, and then we will come back Okay, so the break was supposed to be 15 minutes. So it is now 11:25. 11:25. Please, let's take our break and then we come back by 11:40, please. 11:40.
Yasuru nyankopon dida odum yempi shayen soda maboni bientu mi yesumuna sumuna yasoneni afeyeme riso ajo na yena sem no wedi yesumuna na ye na sem no where different any monya ni asida ya suru nyankopon dida otum yempi osheyen soda maboni bi entu mi yesumuna yesumuna Yesoneni afeyeme riso ajo na yena sem no wedi Yesumuna Yesoneni afeyeme riso ajo na yena sem no wedi Any monya, any asida, yasuru nyankopon dida. Ono no dum yempi, osheyen soda, maboni bi entu mi, yesumuna, yesumuna, yasoneli, afeyembe, riso. Na yena sem no wedi Yesumuna Yasoneni Abe Yambe Riso Ajo Na yena sem no wedi Yehi waye Yeda wasi Yeshewu wenyonya ara yeneja o ni nana no di so pepe ni wahu odi no sududo ni awo pe beye ampa momo sewu yesa wahu odi shewu anyonyamara yenejao ni adana no diem superpe ni wahu wodi no sondodo hey ya ope beye ampa momo sawu yesa Maka achemi sasampa yichichimi mami chidi enije mikrada onyami aksi nadi cheyi ekasi woyo nehu mobro na ni afia mikrada onyami asi mikrada onyami asi na di cheyi ekasi ne umobro na duwa ni afia si ojame ode maka acheme sasempa yichichimi mami jidi enije oh mi krada onyame asi na di cheyi ekasi ni afiasi mikrada onyami asi na di cheyi ekasi oh ne umobro na ni afiasi makanori hami subedi mechine mi asudi ni motano abetu aninyina oh nikawa midimi ura suburu pipi mara oh na se obedamika mehuda pinya mikawa midinomi kawa midimi ura soburu pimpi mara na se obedan mikawa anka mehuda pinya midyema kanuri hamibi Yesu vedi mechine oh mi Yesu di ni motano abetu aniyina mikawa mi di mi jua me die. Una woshe mi na so na wudi we umobo bekata wabo fraso wudi we umobro na wudi we umobro bekata wabo fraso ana ju die no una woshe mi na so na wudi we umobro bekata wabo fraso wudi we umobro na wudi we umobro bekata wabo fraso time for be and say na boni bi I am me afe adi achimi na miti so pai me afe adi achimi na miti so pai me time for be and say me na boni be I am me boyo afe adi achimi na miti by me afe adi achimi na miti so afe adi achimi na mitiri so pai me afe adi achimi na mitiri so pai me upe semi dawasi entina me ribeyi na senya wo peno mi di me home ma wo na senya wo peno mi di me home ma wo pese mi da wasi etina me na mihu adi nyinemu te ope mi ye pa o ayemye di moro eni do ashe odi do sheni mo fra wo na sisne yine o nyema sina ako na odi ye nyame nyina nyema sina oh na odi ye nyame do. se ope mi oh I am ye ni mo bro any door I share no man oh the door.
Thank you very much, this session, which is shorter, we will talk about the second part of the PNDC, and we will end with the Fourth Republic, after which I will share some thoughts and we will have a time to also make some contributions. So I will start with the U-turn of the PNDC. In politics, we say, when we say the U-turn in Ghanaian politics, then reference is made to the time where J.J. Rawlings, then Chairman J.J. Rawlings of the PNDC, called on his supporters to desist from, in quotes, what he called the populist nonsense. Because his people kept talking about to hell with the West, that the Bretton Woods institutions were tools of neocolonialism. They were making communist statements and socialist statements that didn't go well with the Western Bloc. But in the 1980s, early 1980s, middle 1980s, Ghana had severe economic crisis. And Ghana was at the intensive care unit. Ghana needed oxygen, needed its organs to be brought back to functioning. And there was nowhere that help was coming from. Ghana then had associated with the East, with Russia, with Cuba, and if you remember, we had lots of Cuban doctors in Ghana. So that was the relationship that Ghana had with Cuba. But the help that Ghana needed, Cuba could not offer that help. And Russia itself wasn't willing and able to help at that time. And at that time, Ghana will have some nice time with Gaddafi of Libya. Around that time, when Ghana was in an economic crisis, there was drought, there were bushfires in Ghana. And the Aliens Compliance Order of K. Buzia that I made mention of earlier, now Nigeria will then ask Ghanaians in Nigeria, in fact, will ask foreigners in Nigeria to go back to their countries, those without papers. And if you also read literature, you notice that during the period of the coups, a lot of people went into exile. And Nigeria was the closest ally that they could go to. They spoke English, and they were quite welcoming of Ghanaians. So lots of Ghanaians were there. Teachers went, masons, and I'm told that they even said, if once you're a Ghanaian and you told them that we could build, you have a contract. They'll give a contract. No. Okay. Nigeria's and sound no good. When the Nigerian government asked foreigners to leave, lots of Ghanaians had to come back. Ghana must go. So they came back. They came to worsen the situation. They had come no housing. They had come no jobs. They had to be taken care of. And the Ghanaian economy was also under stress. It was there that Gaddafi of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, the late Gaddafi, came to the aid of J. Rawlings, supplying some relief items, food, milk powder, Tom Brown, grains. Those things supplied to Ghana. So you should understand the friendship that existed between the PNDC and Libya around that time. It was because when help was needed, Gaddafi came to the aid of J.J. Rawlings. That said, now the crisis had worsened to the extent that J. Rawlings realized there was no way that he could rely on the East and survive. So he decided that his people should stop talking against the West, because the West was the only bet that Ghana had.
Ghana had to go to the IMF. So, and that would be the U-turn from the East or from socialism to liberalism. And Ghana went to the Bretton Woods institutions. And as usual, gladly, they opened their arms. They accepted Ghana. And they suggested that there had to be a restructuring of the economy. Because the way things were, the public sector was overburdened with a wage bill. So there was a need for deregulation. And that there were state-owned enterprises that were running at losses, which meant that those state-owned enterprises should be sold off, and that the state had no business doing business. Let the state take care of things not doing business. Okay? So J.J. Rawlings and the PNDC had to. Some few people had to suffer. They were asked to go home. So some persons in the public sector lost their jobs. Some state-owned enterprises were sold out. So there was a deregulation. Privatization is the name, but they called it deregulation to give it a nice name. And some of those state-owned enterprises were sold to private businessmen and women. And records will always have it. And it will become a big issue going into the election 2000. In the 1992-93 elections, it didn't come up because there was no way it was going to work. But in the 2000 elections, it will become one of the big issues against the NDC, that the PNDC sold state-owned enterprises to themselves. And whenever they started talking like that, they made reference to Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. That Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings bought in Salom Kanri. Pure conflict of interest. Your husband, head of state. There was no way you should have bought it, but it was bought. So it became a big issue around that time. So state-owned enterprises were released to the private sector. Some of them, not all. Those that were not seen as strategic, they were just given off for the private sector to manage. Some hotels were also sold off. And Parkway Indum, for instance, we get one or two. So we understand how the thing has been working. Ghana for you. So these things went. Now for the program, the first tranche, please go back, I beg you. The first tranche was for economic stabilization. So policies were brought in to stabilize the economy. So stabilize the economy first. Then you will look at restructuring measures. And the stabilization was to free the government wage bill. So that brought the few people who went home. Now, those who went home, there was a need for them to be taken care of some way. Because you cannot just sack people to go home without jobs and expect that they will survive. So there was the introduction of PAMS card. Program of Action to Mitigate the Social Cost of Adjustment. So PAMS card was introduced. It was giving some support. It's like today we have LEAP. LEAP is meant to offer support to impoverished households. So PAMS card came in that direction, something like that, well, in the form of PAMS card, to support households deal with situations of abject poverty. Now, can we please move on? So, the regulation of churches. Now, with the regulation of churches, the PNDC wanted churches to register. And it was one thing that churches fought against. Why would churches fight against registration? If you register, Presbyterian Church of Ghana, we are a church, you register. Were there some hidden motives behind the actions of the PNDC? There was no trust that the PNDC was going to now tax churches. Those were some interpretations that people began giving to the move by the PNDC to get churches registered. Maybe for purposes of regulation, I wish that there will be, I'm not talking about regulation of prophecies, but let there be a situation where there will be some order in the way the body of Christ is organized. Because in Botswana, no, not Botswana, in Rwanda, you can't just get up that the call of God is upon my life, and you go for a 6-week course, and you are ordained bishop, apostle. No, it can't happen. You must have theological training before you could be addressed as such. But we have a case where these things don't happen in Ghana. So maybe an opportunity was missed to, in quote, bring some sanity into the way some things were organized in those days. And there was an incident where there was a church whose leader was shot and set ablaze by some soldiers in Kumasi. It became a big thing. So the church was not free. Some churches in those days were about being banned. I don't call them churches because they are not churches. Like Jehovah's Witnesses, you know it's not a church. Anna? Hey. Hello. But we have treated calls. The way you didn't respond. Okay, so some of these institutions were to be banned because they were not, what they were doing was not even patriotic. That they don't recite national anthem, they don't vote and all those things. But Jehovah's Witnesses is also a very big organization. So you would understand the international relations dimension. It's like you want to touch Coca-Cola, the US will come after you. So Coca-Cola you don't touch, Pepsi you don't touch, Nestle you don't touch, Switzerland they will come. And all, Cadbury, So the move by the states to get this done was not successful. And the fight for human rights, I think this one we started talking about the fight for human rights, the Cali Standard and the Christian Messenger since 1883. It has been the longest surviving, in fact the oldest Christian newspaper in Ghana. Can we please move on? Now, this slide will be here as I narrate some few things in these governments so that we can look at some few analysis and we bring the curtain down. In 1993, a lot of pressure was brought to bear on the PNDC. Now, as part of the conditionalities for the IMF support to Ghana, they asked that allow civil society to operate. And in fact, what the Bretton Woods institutions, what they do, most of the time is that they will support you. But later, for other support to come, they will ask you to loosen up a little for civil society to operate. And civil society includes the church, is part of civil society, the media, political parties, and all. So they will ask that allow the media to operate. And as the media landscape was opened, newspapers came, radio stations started springing up and all. Those outlets, what they begin doing is that they begin talking. And once people are talking on radio and on TV and the newspapers and all, people are getting informed. And with information, we are able to make better decisions. So with this, interest of the people was aroused in politics. No, why should the PNDC, the men in khaki, be doing all these things? We want democracy. But there was a general culture of silence until Professor Albert Edubuahin, he decided to give a lecture. And in that lecture, that is what is said to have broken that culture of silence. Now, people felt confident to talk. Because in those days, you deliver a speech and they say that your freedom is not guaranteed. You can have your freedom of speech, but after that freedom of speech, your freedom is not guaranteed. So people feared until Professor Edubuahin. And what he did was that he would tell anybody and everybody about it. I read in Professor Michael Quay's book, Our Politics in Ghana and Our Rollins. He makes mention of the fact that most of them around that time, especially the lawyers, they were not sleeping in their homes. They were moving from friend to hotel just because they want to evade the intelligence of the PNDC. They fear for their lives. So when these things were happening, people started calling for change. They started calling for accountability. They started calling for probity, Rollins' own words, probity and accountability. They started calling for those things. They started requesting that it couldn't happen that they wouldn't be part of the decision making. They really wanted to be part of the decision making proper. And this pressure, both internal and externally, almost in fact, many African countries around that time started democratizing. So it wouldn't have been proper for Ghana to remain under a military leader. So Ghana too had to democratize. So those were some of the external forces. When you look at the third wave of democratization, it took place around that time. In fact, it started in Eastern Europe, then went to Latin America, then Africa, we had our version. Africa's version started in the very late 1980s through the 1990s to the early 2000s. That was when we had our third wave of democratization. And when we talk about a wave of democratization, it simply means that quite a significant number of countries that were previously undemocratic will make transitions into democracies. When a lot of them do it within a certain period, then it is referred to as a wave. And there have been 3 waves. We are in the third wave. Usually, whenever there is a wave, there is a reverse wave. So this third wave, we have not seen the reverse wave, even though some few countries in Africa are experiencing the reverse. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, yes, they are seeing the reverse waves, but they are not significant. Not many countries are experiencing the reverse, so we can't say that there is a reverse wave in Africa. So with that, the PNDC put together a committee to come up with a proposal, a constitution. And that constitution that came up, when it came up, it was given to the Constituent Assembly. And in fact, when the group was called, Ghana Bar Association rejected it. They said they wouldn't attend. And I think NUS also did not. The reason was that, J.J. Rawlings and the PNDC, they believed in popular democracy. So they invited a lot of people. They invited butchers, they invited dressmakers, hairdressers, market women, farmer groups to craft a constitution. And the lawyers felt insulted. In fact, few lawyers and few students were brought on board. And there are lots of these people there. When you vote, you lose. So the Ghana Bar Association said no, they wouldn't be part. It went on anyway. So it came up. And in fact, the final document was a document that will serve the interest of a transition that will be safe for the functionaries of the PNDC. With the PNDC, some things went on the excesses. The excesses, you blame it on the leader. Even though I think that the leader wouldn't be responsible for everything. No, the leader wouldn't know everything that will go on. But the leader ultimately will be responsible because you are the leader. And that also, there were the indemnity clauses in the Constitution to protect them from prosecution for what happened under the PNDC. So there was the elections, and the MPP, let me quickly trace the MPP. The MPP, as we have it now, it came out of the remnants of the UGCC. So the UGCC, the NLM, and when you look at the Muslim Association Party, the Northern People's Party, and the Youth Association, the Girls Safety Association, when Nkrumah was persecuting them, they came together as a UP, United Party. So those of you who follow politics, you know that at times the MPP, they say UP tradition. So that is a united party. They united. When they united, they had now become more or less a national party. Because North, Ango, Ever, Ghana, now a national party. So Nkrumah couldn't persecute them any longer. Out of the united party, the Progress Party in 1969 won elections. I hope you remember. So PP wins under the leadership of K. Buzia. Later, it will go into a long period of in opposition, like 30 years. Then, an opportunity will come where the MPP will come. But it will be these elements who will come together to form the new patriotic party. So, you are not supposed to belong to a political party. I asked Papa Samprempe, you can't belong. You are neutral. You are hereby declared neutral. Papa Mate, I asked him personally when we were going around, and he also mentioned it, that you can talk about national issues, but you cannot bear a party card. So go and in fact, go and burn your cards if you have one. Okay. So with this, that was it. As for the NDC, the root of the NDC is elements of the AFRC, who, in fact, some members of the AFRC did not support the PNDC, they're coming back. And they fought against the coming back of Rawlings with the PNDC. But the PNDC succeeded. And it is out of the PNDC, we saw Brigadier Nunu Mensah, we saw Kori Koshiga, who will later move and join the Donkabuzia tradition. And also, those are the two major traditions. The third tradition, which is the Nkrumah's tradition, has been more or less absorbed by the Rawlings tradition. Most of them find solace in the NDC as compared to the MPP. The MPP had been antagonistic of the Nkrumah's tradition since its formation. You know, the Nkrumah moved from the UGCC and he became an enemy, an instant enemy of the Dankabuzia. So now we know where those political parties come from. So the MPP contested against the NDC. There was no way the NDC was going to lose. In fact, if you look at NDC and PNDC, just remove the P and it was NDC. That's just by the way. So the NDC won that elections. It was expected. I don't know whether Professor Edubuahin expected to win, but he fought. Now, when they lost the elections, in fact, earlier, parliamentary elections were held before presidential. No, I mixed it. The presidential elections held first before parliamentary. So when the presidential elections, Ghana was done with the presidential elections, Rawlings won. Yes. The opposition parties claimed that it wasn't free and fair. Well, in those days, they voted in classrooms. So you queue outside, you enter the classroom to cast your ballot. Imagine, I am going, I'm wearing fugu. I'm going to cast my ballot. And things happened. They will count. At the end of the day, when they count the votes cast, it will be more than registered candidates. Things went on. But Jerry Rawlings won anyway. And MPP, typical of the MPP, they wrote the book, The Stolen Verdict. Hey, when they lost elections, later they write another book, Chasing the Elephant to the Bush. Oh, MPP. So the MPP contested, and when they lost the presidential elections, and in fact, they boycotted the parliamentary elections because they claimed that the presidential election wasn't free and fair. So they were calling on the government to organize new elections. They boycotted the parliamentary elections. They didn't contest. So NDC had a field that they just won all seats, with the exception of few. Later, they will even be subsumed by the NDC in parliament. So the Fourth Republic was really a rubber stamp. Anything that will be approved. NDC, 100%. The MPP now had to resort to mechanisms to make themselves relevant. I believe they realized that they had made mistakes by not contesting. So they resorted to the courts, press conferences. Fast. They organized a press conference and they had something they call the shadow cabinet. That, for instance, J.H. Mensah will become the finance minister, so to say. When it comes to economic issues, then he will come up at a press conference to address the people of Ghana. And they were sending the government to court. Though they will lose, they will still do it. By so doing, they were keeping themselves relevant in the politics of Ghana. And later in year 2000, it will serve them well. In 1996, there were improvements. When you read literature as to how our elections have been over the years, we'll notice that year on, we have been making progress. So it moved from opaque ballot boxes. Then gradually we're moving towards transparent ballot boxes. We had voter ID card with no pictures. Then we got voters ID card with pictures, black and white. We got colored. And a party came, they wanted us to go back black and white. Many things, they know why they do those things. So with this, 1996 elections, Jerry Rawlings, and in fact, President Rawlings was a person who was loved by the people. J. Rawlings was just light. For the fact that he had a personality that sacrificed. People who were close will tell you that this was a man who was not selfish, who would descend into the gutters with you and do whatever. Well, at least he proved there's some few videos and pictures of him in the gutters doing that and carrying cocoa and all those things. So that was up until year 2000, which will become a watershed elections, where the MPP will win that elections. But getting to that elections, there were many issues. The media was seriously attacked and attacked. Well, in the morning, by morning you wake up and human excreta would have been poured and smeared all over your office building. And J. Kufuor will promise the people of Ghana that when he becomes president, one of the first laws he would deal with was to remove the criminal libel law. Kwaku Baku Jr., Kwesi Pratt, they have suffered under the criminal libel law. And in fact, I think the Nana Konadu Ajimai Rawlings' in-law, Haruna Atta, had even suffered under criminal libel, where he went to jail for saying something that the libelous against the Rawlingses. So with this, Kufuor promises, when he comes, he will reduce 4 prices. He will repeal the criminal libel. And I remember J.H. Mensah, he will lift a gallon of fuel. Petrol yetonahi, and the crowd will shout, "Yeah, buy a better so yeah." Interesting days. So those things really happened. Then elections, the NDC lost, and people felt the fear was that Rawlings was not going to hand over. But Rawlings handed over. President Kufuor comes, and criminal libel, true to his word, it was repealed, to the relief of the media. Later, things will be written about him, and he can't send them to court. But something else happened. That was big, HIPIC, the economy. Kufuor comes and tells Ghana that Ghana, I said that when I come, I will do this within 100 days. I'll do this within 30 days. It's not possible. Looking at the kitty, in fact, the purse is empty. So Ghanaians, I beg you. And the magnanimity of the Ghanaian, we understood and we clapped for him. This is the president we want. He has been truthful with us. He was given time. And another thing, he told Ghana that, yeah, they can't do. We are owing so much that we cannot pay. And there is something they call HIPIC. So Ghana, we are going HIPIC. Ghana was divided. Why? Why, the Ghanaian, you don't want someone to know that you, what they can. So Ghana didn't want the world to know that we couldn't repay our loans. HIPIC just means that you owe so much that there is no way you can repay the loan. And there is an aspect of HIPIC that I find insulting to the intelligence of African nations. That with the HIPIC, they are not saying that don't pay. They will tell you, raise the money anyway. If you owe 10 billion to maybe Japan, you have to raise the 10 billion. But don't pay us, don't bring it to Japan. Keep it in Ghana. And when you keep it, we'll tell you what you have to use it for in your own country. So we raise the money. That is how come school buildings that they built with HIPIC money, they'll write on it boldly, HIPIC benefit. And the other won't say. And it was also a political thing. The NDC was saying that HIPIC is not good. Ghana shouldn't go HIPIC. So to spite the NDC, they will write on it HIPIC benefits. HIPIC benefits all over. But HIPIC indeed brought a lot of money to us. Not free money. We had to raise that revenue anyway. But it was meant to be used for other projects. The reason why I find it some way is that why should president with cabinet, with parliament, with very brainy human beings, human resource, why should we sit knowing that our people don't have water to drink for a Japanese minister to tell the president and his people, dig or sink a borehole for your people? What kind of a people are we? Why should I sit in my church for someone to come and tell you that take care of your children's service? Why? Well, so he came and went. Then the presidential visits. President Bush visits Ghana. During President Rawlings's time, Bill Clinton visited Ghana. So, the first time Bush had visited, was Ghana becoming a darling of the US? Ghana, they trumpeted. Ghana is becoming a beacon of democracy on the continent of Africa. And let's remember, around that time, Liberia was a civil war, serious one. Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone. So wars around us. Cote d'Ivoire had not been too stable. So Ghana was projected. And they would do anything. The monies that came to the EC, the Electoral Commission, our ballot papers were not printed with our own money. Why would someone sponsor your elections? They had interest. Let there be peace in the sub-region. And Ghana was the oasis of peace within the sub-region. And I think that is something we should protect. That is why it saddens my heart that we allow some historical things. Yes, I don't downplay history and what it does to our person. But there are some things, they touch our core as a people. I think we need to, as a society, resolve some of those issues. No matter the length we need to go, we have to, so that the spores of conflicts we have in Ghana, we should be able to deal with them. Oh, so the West supported Ghana in strengthening our democracy. Then President Kufuor, there were issues with his ministers and the way they were spending and all. But, you know, President Kufuor's economy, he had a lot of support from the people of Ghana. Such that, as at the time he was living, people expected that Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo would have just easily walked into the castle or the Flagstaff House. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Because in the last years of J.A. Kufuor, 4 prices went up. Then it dropped. When it dropped, we expected prices to drop. It didn't drop. Now, the first round of elections, the president, Ghana was calling on him to reduce prices. He didn't. Then when there was going to be the second round, he reduced prices. And Ghana said, oh, it was possible. Okay. So, then we will punish Nanado. And Ghana punished Nanado by voting for Professor Mills. So Professor Mills' votes went up as against Nanado's votes. Then the two of them went for the runoff. Another thing that didn't work for the NPP and Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo was the tag, arrogance. What is the real difference between confidence and arrogance? Because I remember one thing that my mother used to tell me. What in the ferias are na ye bibi. Some of the words are that yes, it is good to be humble, but a mafia don't allow the shyness to kill your initiative. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo presented himself as a very confident man, very intelligent man. And Professor Mills presented himself opposite, very humble, very peace-loving. So with this, contrasting these two candidates, things didn't work well. And Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, no matter what he did, no matter the message, the propaganda won, it didn't work that he was a humble man. It didn't work that he was confident. No, nothing worked. So Professor Mills wins elections, the second round, and forms government. President Kufuor will hand over to Professor Mills. Another thing that I failed to mention was the relationship between J.A. Kufuor and Jerry Rawlings. That Jerry Rawlings had become an enemy who had become an enemy too. But between the two of them, there was bad blood. That Rollins called Kufuor Atai. Then, one notorious armed robber, Atai, that Kufuor was a thief and was stealing and corruption and all. Yes, there were corruption allegations, a lot against Kufuor, a lot. Just as there were corruption allegations against Jerry Rollins. And on top of that, Dr. Anani, minister responsible for transport. Later, he will become transport, but he was health minister. He went for a conference. AIDS conference, eh? He went for an AIDS conference, and he came back with twins. And he became something else. Why should someone's private life become a big issue? Well, it's a public person. And that is one thing that we should also learn. That your private life is going, gradually. So, Professor Mills wins elections in the year 2008. And later will die. But he will be one president who will be noted for one speech he made, Dufiasem, Ghana's foreign policy. When you look at Ghana's foreign policy from independence, our foreign policy has never been Dufiasem. Our foreign policy has always been to support fellow African states. But Professor Mills was put in a corner where I think the best answer was what he gave, Dufiasem. If he had committed himself that yes, with the Ivorian crisis, I think that Gbagbo has done this, that would have been the end of the relationship between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. So it is better to ask them, you do your own thing, whatever you deem fit, do for yourselves. So in foreign policy, even though he deviated from the traditional foreign policy decisions of the country, at least he saved Ghana a lot of troubles. And I think he did well, in my own estimation, by going the Dufiasem. And Professor Mills will be presented as a man who walked the talk with his policies. Not much is said about corruption for him. All others, corruption allegations have been leveled against them. But for Professor Mills, well, I am here to hear. The airplane issues, where they bought some airplane for the Ghana Armed Forces. Yes, there was a big issue that came, and that big issue was shifted because it was the vice president who led. I mean, now President John Mahama, he led. And when the report came, as actions were about to be taken, God called our president home. And that issue died a natural death with the president. So we leave it at that. So he died, and President Mahama, the vice president, then will win elections that people say that it was an election that he won as a result of sympathy votes. The Ghanaians voted for him because they felt that, well, his boss had died. Let's reward him with the presidency. We rewarded him with the presidency, and he told us that he had become a dead goat. As I said, I'm only mentioning snipers out of these. He said he had become a dead goat. That become funny. Issues of corruption. Why should a whole president, be bribed with Ford Explorer? How much is Ford? Even though I can't afford. But by being president of Ghana, Ghana could have bought him anything. Why? So let's be careful. Small envelope can really destroy us. So he accepted. Later he said that he was giving it to Ghana, so he had given it. So Ghana, when you go, it is there. He dashed it to him and he gave it to the Republic. Then there was a Jida Sada issues where some social intervention programs, to aim at bringing jobs to the youth. It happened that the birds that were being kept, the guinea fowls, away. They all flew away. In fact, that thing I know Philip Asibit. Unfortunately, my brothers and sisters, he was a Nubji member in Legon. Yes, Nubji for Christ. He was with us. I think he was an auditor or so, something. Oh, international is here, okay. And that man's activities cost President Mahama the 2016 elections. Yes. Not just that. Why, how on earth will you cut down trees to plant trees? You cut trees to plant trees in a dry season in the north. How? But yes, those things happened. All these things, these were things that people did to siphon money from the state. As I always say, because the president is president, everything at his doorstep. But would the president sanction such a thing? I doubt. I doubt. But all these things will come at his doorstep, and he cannot defend them. And they will wash him well with that. So he got tired of these allegations. And he said, hey, he's a dead goat. So all these things went on. Then, 2016. Yes. 2016 elections, Ghana felt that, Nanado, wabre. This thing about rewarding people, wabre. So President Nanado contested that election. I think that elections he worked. But you see him on stage, you could see that this man wabrampa, like physically exhausted, but he had to push. He had to become president, and he won elections. First 4 years, I think he was a good president in the first 4 years. Then, 2020, 2020 elections, it was just simple that he will be rewarded for the first term. For the first term, stabilization of the cedi against the international currencies, the way developments had come, and all those things, educational policies and all. We saw them to be working. Then from 2020, unfortunately, COVID hit. And COVID, they were asked to give account of activities and monies raised. I don't know when nothing will come. But we didn't really see much. President, the economy is nosediving. Let's remedy the economy. Change the minister. Say like, minister, we won't change. Then the haircut came. People's hairs were cut. Investments lost. So with these things, COVID had affected the economy, even though we had a lot of money. But around that time, Ghana was hailed globally for the way we were able to handle COVID. That it is said that the way they expected Africa itself to suffer from COVID, it didn't happen that way. So we thank God. We prayed, right? Yes. So things we didn't die as they expected. Now, back to Ghana. The Ghanaian economy started suffering so much that the instability of the cedi against the dollar and the international currencies was so bad that it will cost Dr. Bawumia elections. Now, Dr. Bawumia's elections, I'm trying to conclude. Dr. Bawumia's elections, people claim that Dr. Bawumia is not a true MPP. So hardcore MPP don't even see him as one of them. Conspiracy theories. Others also believe that he is Muslim. And being a Muslim, and Ghana being predominantly Christian, the Christians don't want a Muslim to be president. But Dr. Hilali Man, was he Christian or Muslim? I'm only asking. You. Or was it that they were visiting the saints of Nanado on Dr. Bawumia, the dictator man? Was he not the vice president? Is the vice president not in charge of the economy? So how come things were going so bad and the vice president couldn't do anything? Later he tried to say that he advised, they didn't listen. They came, they took away road tolls. But road tolls was bringing in a lot of revenue. So the issues were so many that the vice president will lose elections. And Ghana will decide to go back to the dead goat. He has been resurrected. Now we have His Excellency the President, John Dramani Mahama, back as president. And 8 months, this one we are all living in it, so we know. 8 months of his government. The balance sheet. Is this strength of the CD artificial? The policies, the gold bond and all that they have introduced, those were things that Dr. Bawumia said. So what new have they brought? That you want us to clap for him. What new thing has he done? But why shouldn't we clap? If Dr. Bawumia knew these things, why didn't he implement them? And things went that bad. I'm only asking questions. So at the end of the day, right from independence, we have seen some trend. Government starts well, they end poorly. Those who replace them, they promise a lot. We trust them. They come, they fail, we kick them out. Another thing that we will learn, can we please go to the next slide? My brothers and sisters, now we have seen some few things. That is our history, you and I. Some of the things happened, you and I were not there. But we're not seeing Yamia Fro. What? Just some 5 minutes. What should the church do? Apart from prayer. So we will pray. But after prayer, Bishop Theodore Bismarck, as a popular Zimbabwean preacher, one video of his that I watched, he said that prayer is not in a success equation. It is hard work. Well, that is what he thinks. I don't agree with him. Prayer is in it, plus the others. But look at countries like Malaysia. How many Christians are in Malaysia? Let's look at Saudi Arabia. How beautifully they have developed. And they are thinking into the next 100 years. We are thinking into the next elections, 4 years. If you are lucky, our leaders will think 4 years. They usually think 1 month. What is coming to me now? But the question is that, the church, what can we do? Apart from prayer. Maybe some 2-3 views. What do you think should be done? I know some few people here. I can call my brother Steve. I can call. Okay. I believe we are thinking about it. Let's move on. We'll come back. But if you have a point, please, you may say so. You may talk. Other than that, let's go to the next slide. All right. I think that. So these are my thoughts. The national level ministry. I think that our voice as a church must be heard and our position made clear on national issues. Clear. There is an issue of Galamsey, and the Presbyterian Church has made a statement. Excellent. Pentecost made a statement on LGBT. Excellent. Christian Council always makes statements concerning peace and elections and all. Excellent. So we should not keep quiet. For the love of Ghana, we cannot keep quiet. I think our voices should be heard the more. I watch PCG TV. What is the message towards our national development? I know it's a network for a church, but we live within a certain context. Church and church leadership should continue to be non-partisan, but not apolitical. So non-partisanship, we should be non-partisan, but we should not say that we don't like politics. Politics drives everything. And I'm saying that we should deliberately prepare people for politics. We should have an agenda. In Latin America, the Catholic Church controls Latin America. Papa and I, during the break, he was talking about Congo, DR Congo, where the Catholic Church is strong. So Catholic bishops go on demonstration. Within a matter of days, the country's policy changed because the bishops marched. Imagine Ghana. When the Catholic bishops marched over Galamsey, what happened? They were even insulted. But we should rise up. So we should deliberately prepare people for politics. That one, not as of you can't do politics, but we should deliberately prepare people. Someone like, okay, in this party, you have a person like Sam George. He has said it publicly, and at least some things he is doing, fight LGBT and all those things. He said that, well, he has some morals in him. Why is the church not supporting such a young man? We should be deliberate about redeeming this country. Prayer alone wouldn't solve the problem. We need to act in addition to the prayer. Then, are we even ministering to these politicians? Those who claim they are, those who are Christians, those who are Presbyterians, are we ministering to them? I say doing Ketia is a Presbyterian. Anna? Yes. Why you Presbyterian? Setekbe Presbyterian. So these people, I'm asking, this one I don't know. But the church, do we deliberately minister to them? When we minister to them, we pray with them, we visit them, we invite them for breakfast meetings and all. Not just to take their money, no, but to minister to them and their families. There are some things, for the sake of the church, they will not do. Mentorship of politicians, it is in line with that. And promoting Christian politicians. We should be intentional. Because we have left Ghana to people who profess to be Christians. To people who say lots of things. And look at where we are. Please, can we move to the... Okay. Ethical leadership deficit. The decades of corruption and abuse have created public cynicism towards authority. This is the general attitude of the Ghanaian. Every politician is corrupt. That is what we all think. Every politician is corrupt. But it is our job to help our congregants. So the church must rise as a moral authority. When the church speaks, morality should prevail. Sanity should prevail. So we should be teaching servant leadership, transparency, and integrity. One thing that I've taken from RTC, integrity. So now I have a problem. But that is the way to go. We will. God be in our help. So we should teach biblical governance and ethics. These are things that our Bible studies are. We should be able to do these things as a church in order to get our country where we want it. Can we please move on? We should break the dependency mentality where we think that support and help can only come from the West. We know that the West, Obasanjo says something. He said that the West will never come to your aid without benefiting more than you are benefiting. Never. A former president says this. So dependency. We should be able to help change unpatriotic and unchristian attitudes. For example, laziness under the guise of prayer marathon. I saw a poster, 365 days fasting. Why? Why? One gentleman is a cousin's son who is staying with me. One day he went to church and I'm told he fell. So he came back home and I asked him, Master, what is it? And he said that he is fasting. I said, what? Fasting. He said, how many days? He said he is going 21 days. I told him, you are not correct. You have exams. In fact, they are writing exam now. You have exams to write. I need you to make A's. And of all the periods you could have fasted, exam week. Now ask him, what are you asking God so that I will support you? That one too, he didn't tell me. But we are making our members believe that they should spend all their time on prayer and nyamebeye. God has given us heads with brains, expecting that we would think. We should pray. By all means, we must pray. But after prayer, thinking must continue. Wednesday, 8 to 12. Me, if I have an organization that has employed you, you leave 8 to 12, 4 hours, going to pray. And you have come. And you excuse duty to go and pray. Hey, we are paying taxes. These are things that we should talk about. By all means, we must pray. But our attitudes must change. Please, let's move on. Yeah, total ministry, holistic ministry. Despite national growth in the economy, people's pockets are dry. So we shouldn't just be praying and blessing them in benedictions. Where necessary, some skill training will be important. Some seminars to empower our people will be important. By doing these things, can we please go to the next? We will help. Please, let's go to the next one so that I conclude. Yes. Oh, it's not too clear. This one, it was a model that I created in my PhD work. Model of saints, wizards, demons. I got the idea from Professor Chuai, who taught me, and Juan Peterson, who did the research in Kenya. He said that in every system, there are saints, there are wizards, and there are demons. I'm not talking deliverance here. But the saints, if you look at if you look at the saints, it is small. They are the leaders with conscience, the leaders who are patriotic, who love their countries, saints. The saints need wizards, experts. So when it comes to the economy, who are the economic wizards? We need them. They are also quite few. But look at the demons. Bebrebe. The demons are those who are looking for opportunities to steal money, opportunities to be corrupt, they are always looking for loopholes in the law to exploit. People of God, all these people sit under our feet every Sunday. The saints, they come to church. The wizards, they come to church. The demons, they are in church. Some are presbyters. And with our society, it has now been normalized. Some corrupt practices are now normal. It is our job to make sure that with the help of God, we encourage the saints to keep working hard. That we insulate the wizards from those things that will bombard them, that will make them compromise. And the demons. We have a job to exercise. Let us deal with the demons. The only thing that can deal with them is the word of God. So I have a firm belief that this country has a great future. But that future is not dependent on politicians. Now, no. It doesn't depend on the IMF and World Bank, no. I think that it depends on the church. But the church is the only conscience of society that is left. So I say, the church is the salt of the earth. Go from the Bible, Matthew 5:13-16. The church is the salt of the earth, and the church is the light of the world. Our mandate is to salt Ghana and to shine in Ghana to God's glory. I end by saying, God bless RTC, God bless PCG, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, our guest speaker. We are very grateful for these insights you have shared with us. And there will be someone who would specially come and move the vote of thanks. But at this point, let me, on behalf of faculty, the director and faculty, say we are grateful. Thank you for what you have shared with us. Please, we would make room for a few questions, if there are any, maybe maximum 3. So please, if there are any, you move to the microphone, you ask your question, and then we close out of here. First 3 to rise. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Papa, for this lecture. Papa, my question has to do with the Christian Council of Ghana. I want to find out, does the Christian Council of Ghana not wield power enough, considering the number of Christians in Ghana, to be able to influence decisions in the country, and also go beyond just the usual making of statement when there is a national issue, to perhaps forcing a change in things that are affecting us as a country? Thank you very much.
Forcing a change. Are you proposing any means?
I'm referring to maybe a change like Galamsey, like we saw with the Kali bishops. They went on a march, but it didn't yield much. So can't we have the church come together to, sort of... Okay. Yes, thank you.
Go on a march. Okay. Okay. All right, please, let's have you.
Jeremiah Obeying, second year. My questions are 2. Firstly, there is this trend which of late is gaining grounds, for which, in my assessment, I foresee it being one way or the other, sometime to come, affecting Christianity. That is where, as you said, the reverse wave, where from socialism to democracy, and the idea being that the whites brought colonialism attached to Christianity, or the other way around. So if we are dealing with the neo-colonialist mentality, we should deal with Christianity too, because, and at times some even say that it is the cause of our challenges and problems. I want to find out, as we are trying to find solutions on how to go about it, what do we do going on from here? The second one too has to do with, as you were talking about the days where there was this gag on voices, dissenting voices. Certain laws which are in the offing are also some way or the other intending to probably gag voices, especially the one which is in the offing, a law to be passed on disinformation, misinformation, and fake news, which in the West, especially in America, where it was a challenge for which Elon Musk bought Twitter, at least to give room for people to voice out, even though they were not be all that real. So as a church, where do we stand concerning that? And if we are to go by that one too, as you are telling us to voice out, there might be a time where when we voice out, it might be like a misinformation or a fake news or something of that sort. Thank you.
Papa Midasi, thank you. I remember your very controversial statements at Bible studies, Papa Iko. All right, my first question, I have two questions, quick one. Based on your presentation today, I was trying to ask my question during the first session, but I realized I had to wait. So my first question is, after listening to your presentation through and through, my first question is, can we conclude therefore that the development of Ghana is tied to the political will of the rulers? Can we conclude that the development of Ghana is tied to the political will of the rulers or the ruling class? And because we have a lot of Christians, it takes me to my second question. What will you tell a Christian who wants to venture in politics? I have seen a lot of great minds from JY to YPG who had the notion that politics is not meant for the Christian. So I even know one who is a Presbyterian minister now, but who would have been a fine politician. Thank you.
Thank you, Papa.
Did I count you? You are not counted, eh? Are you also asking a question? Are you also asking a question? Okay.
Thank you, Papa. Papa, I would like to know, in your department, whether you have, you research into a government, when the government leave office, whether you do research into that government, what they intend to do, what they did well, what they didn't do well, and whether you have records of that, and whether those records are published, because I would like to get some of those records to read. Thank you.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you, Papa. You talked about the PNDC government trying to regulate churches. And in the year 2018, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda tried implementing same. Honestly, I don't know what has become of it as to whether it succeeded or he failed. And considering the proliferation of many churches in our social architecture, would you recommend that the government of Ghana consider same with recourse to the many weird activities we hear Ghanaian so-called ministers engage in? Would you recommend that we take the route of President Paul Kagame? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does the Christian Council not wield enough power? Christian Council is as strong as the church. So does it wield power? I think so. But the question is that, haven't we been divided enough that we will not follow what the Christian Council advises we do? There's a question that is difficult. In other jurisdictions where the church has been able to exert that political influence, things are happening and the church has control. Let's also bear in mind, we are not suggesting that there should be a theocratic form of government. No. But we want a situation where, we don't want a situation where the church will actively be in power, be in government. No. In history, we have seen how the marriage of the church and the state did not help. So we want a situation where the state will be policed, so to say, by the church, where we talk about things, we offer suggestions, and where necessary, we take action. So Christian Council, yes, I think that Christian Council it will be strong and it will have a voice when we, Christians in Ghana, we do so. But don't we have Pentecostal Council? Are they part of the Christian Council? Don't we have the Charismatic Council? Are they part of the Christian Council? And don't we have some independent churches who are saying that they don't belong to any? It is God who called them. So this is the problem we have. We are not together. Is Christianity the cause of our problem? Never. If you say that Christianity is the cause of the problem, America thrived and became very strong on Christian principles. Now they are taking Christianity out. And things, they are suffering small. So I think that Christianity rather should be the solution, not the problem at all. If we should all, about the 72% who say they are Christians, if the 72% we all live like Christians should live, Ghana will be a heaven on earth. So do we have 72% Christians? Then we are not living as Christians. So we are not the problem at all. We are rather the solution. And the issue of fake news. Fake news is when I'm telling a lie. But when I tell the truth, that three judges died, one army officer died, it is a fact. How do you send me to jail for saying this? It's the truth. If the truth is that the CD now has started falling against the dollar, is it a lie? No, it is the truth. So once you speak the truth, truth liberates. And Commonwealth Hall, I wasn't in that hall. But they say that truth stands. Can we conclude that development in Ghana is tied to the political will of the leaders? Yes. For now, yes. It is because we don't have a national plan. So President Rawlings comes and does what he did what he did. President Kufuor comes and did it. President Mills comes, changed it. His Excellency John Mahama comes. So they keep tinkering with a developmental agenda just because you don't have a national plan that they are supposed to stick to. So we need a national plan. Until then, they'll be doing these things. And should it happen that, well, I wouldn't go into partisan politics. Else, should I become president, I might also change it. But we need a national plan that they will be restricted to. Christians in politics. I encourage Christians to go into politics. I have ever asked, can a Presbyterian minister be allowed to engage in politics? It is an emphatic no. The answer I got from a former moderator. So we are not allowed to go into politics as ministers, but as Christians, it is not a sin to go into politics. In fact, I believe that it is rather the preserve of believers. When a righteous man rules, what happens? Hello? You. Then research. Yes, research. Just that when research is done, most of the time where they are, some you have to pay dollars before you can download. And most of the research we do, my brother, we do it because we want promotion. That is the unfortunate truth. That we do the research because promotion purposes. But it is supposed to inform our developmental agenda. But some are there in textbooks and journals that are downloadable. Then PNDC regulation of churches. Would I recommend a regulation of churches? Hey, regulation of churches. I don't think that I don't think that the system should allow anybody at all who claims to have been called to do whatever they want to do. Can you do anything at all as a Presbyterian minister? No. Is that restricting the hand of God on your life? It will not. So, controlling what we do as Christians and as ministers, I don't think it is wrong. It is just to keep us in check. And I think that the church has been vilified and insulted over a long period of time in this country because of what some few ministers are doing that is tarnishing the core. So I think that what Pokigami has done, yes, without a degree in theology, forget it. You cannot be an osofo. God has called you, fine, go to school so that you do it proper. Why is it that nobody just gets up and becomes a doctor? You have to go to school. You don't just get up to become a teacher. You have to go to school. Why is it that when God himself has called you, you don't want to go to school? And look at what has been happening. Some, because these days, I was on some pure has come in suit. Anyway, thank you very much. I hope I've done justice to these questions.
All right, we are gradually coming to the end of our conference, and we thank you all for your contribution. We thank you for your questions and your reflections. May I remind us once again about our thought journals and our reflections. The programs, head of programs will be waiting to receive your reflections. I'm sure he will give you further information on when you will present them. But to draw the curtains on this, these are a few words that I seek to put across. We have heard the story of our nation, the political and economic history of our nation. We have been exposed to the transitions that has happened over the years in our country. We have been led through how politics have guided and shaped the course of our nation. In the presentation, we have come to see how leadership starts well and then along the line deviates from the course and enter and become unpopular in the eyes of the nations. I would like to hint that this is not the case of political leaders alone. We are also leaders. We will find ourselves in positions of trust, and we will be spearheading the development of congregations, of our churches. Would we start well and not end well? Will we fall for the applause of the populace and do their bidding? Would we, in the course of our time, pay the sacrifices of conscientizing our members so that the misconceptions and the erroneous interpretations people have regarding politics? For example, now people think that the fastest route to get into riches is to venture into politics. And there are several examples people will cite to bring home this point. The issue of politics being a dirty game, and so Christians should refrain from them, as one of you were asking. But how do we come up as a church to stand against this challenge? How does this understanding or this insight inform our theological engagement, inform our ministry practices, and even inform what we do with the members of our church? After all these politicians, most of them we will find in churches. How do we encourage people to stand for the truth? Papa was sharing what he perceives to be a challenge with his new role. Sometimes we are at the round table and the cards are laid there. You are known to be preaching ABC. Now the cards are laid and the cards are 1, 2, 3. Would you abandon your ABC and go for 1, 2, 3? My dear brothers and sisters, we have a challenge to deal with the conscience of our members. We have a challenge to create the right impression for national development. And our pulpits must not fail in this. God has called us into missions, and we have to save souls. We have to transform societies. We have to demonstrate God's care and God's love for humanity. It is my prayer that as we go through this and reflect on them, the Lord Himself will grant us the wisdom in dealing with the issues as we meet them. So Solo was trying to ask what the churches may do beyond the talk. May God bless the church with wisdom. May God bless the church with the right approaches that will make impact and so glorify God in our nation. On this note, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to chair this conference, and I pray that the Lord will continue to bless us. The Lord will bless RTC, bless PCG, and bless Ghana. Thank you. God bless us all. I will now invite our sister Philomena McKinney to move the vote of thanks, after which we will take the closing prayer and benediction from the Reverend Gideon Populampo.
Deda Odum Yempi Payen Suda Nabo Nibi Antu Mie Yesu Muna Yeso Neni Afe Yambi Risu Ajonaye Asem Nuwe Deepe. The Reverend Chair and our distinguished faculty, colleague trainees, I deem it a singular honor to be given this opportunity to give the vote of thanks for this August seminar. Join me as we join the psalmist in Psalm 106, verse 48, to say, "Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for everlasting to everlasting." And let all the people say, Amen. Praise the Lord. Secondly, on behalf of the director, faculty, and our Reverend Chair, we want to express our profound gratitude and appreciation to you, Papa Doctor. We are very much grateful. God bless you for the insight you have shared with us on this seminar. We pray that the Lord will continue to strengthen and enrich you with more knowledge. We also want to say that, extend our appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to Mama. We agree and believe that he had contributed to this. If he had said he will not allow you to come, I don't think this seminar will be possible. We also want to acknowledge and thank our faculty, which is led by our Reverend Director. Our faculty, we are most grateful to you for even having it on the program that we have this seminar. It has been very impactful. We are most grateful to you. And then to our programs, our head of programs, the Reverend Dr. Yao Boydu, and all the programs coordinators. In fact, your efforts are not being downplayed. We say, Ayuko, well done to all of you. To our veteran IT personnel, Brother Stephen, we are most grateful. You have been very instrumental in this seminar. God richly bless you. And then finally, to all of us, I say congratulations and God bless us all. Amen.
Please, we would take a few announcements before the closing prayer.
To add my voice to the appreciation, thank you so much. Kindly listen to the following announcement. Please, when we are done, you have to leave your files behind. The green files, you leave it behind. Then also your name tag kindly leave it behind. Then also the name cars. The reason is that week 5, we have another CWS, and we'll use them. After that, we'll tell you what to do next. So you leave everything. You can only take the content. Your A4 sheet is for you, but the rest, we will humbly take it for the next CWS. When we are done, we'll take a group photograph outside. We take a group photograph outside. Then we are all expected to come back and rearrange the place. Let's not forget tomorrow we have church service in the afternoon. So we'll all come back and rearrange. I think that's all for now. Thank you so much.
From the organizers of this conference, we are to evaluate this conference, and to do so, they would project an QR code. So please, once it is projected, you can scan them with your phones. It is projected now. You will scan them, and you will gain access to the evaluation form. This is digitization. So please, you get access to it, and then you send your evaluation on that link. Thank you very much. If you need any assistance, please contact the organizers.
Shall we rise and pray? You have scored some good marks for your layout. You have some good marks for general comportment. Some good marks for the angle of questions you asked. You lost marks on the lack of emphasis on the ministry aspect to it. I expected to have a lot more deductions for ministry. You didn't gain some very good marks there. You also dropped a few marks in a few things you did. On the whole, you are above average. I wish I could have given you excellent. But if wishes were horses, some dignified beggars will not even ride. Let us pray. Our Lord, we are grateful to you that you have called us to train. And I'm so glad that in this season, we do have those who have gone through this training becoming facilitators, bringing us into the second season that we envisaged for the 2020 curriculum. We bless you for the caliber of person you have given us, and the fact that we have more of them even in this present group that we would call upon in days to come to facilitate, bringing RTC full circle for the excellence of the ministry of the church. Definitely not for the pride of it, but for the competence. Our Lord and Master, I commit ourselves into your care again, asking that we need you, Lord, to keep guiding us in this. Whilst we pray for our facilitator, that, Lord, you would cause him to hone these skills and capacities. And in the days to come, if we have to call upon him again, the manifestation of your grace would show forth. I also pray for us who participated, the refreshing of the memory on some of the things that some of us have lived through, that which have been read and studied, the things in our country that all of us are going through right now. We pray that you will continue to keep this bell ringing in our minds and in our hearts, guiding us into people who engage context For we have gained from your hands, by virtue of our calling, the responsibility to keep pricking and reviving the conscience of society and speaking truth to power, not because we have become arrogant, but because we are tools in your hands. Our Lord and Master, we thank you for RTC. Lord, we know that you remember us. But for a lack of a better word in our human vocabulary, we come to you in the acknowledgement of your remembrance. We say, please, Lord, remember us. We do know that you are capable of doing immeasurably more than we can ever ask or imagine. So we pray that you will continue to make us better and better, but with a loud voice of the Spirit in our minds and our hearts, to be humble without being timid, and to be confident without being proud. Our Lord, we ask all this in your name, and now into the hands of the most gracious Lord do we commit you. May he who is capable of keeping you from falling uphold you and strengthen you. May he respond to your cries, and may he bring you help from his great home of Zion. May the peace of God that surpasses all understanding rest and abide with us all now and forevermore. Amen.
Right, so as announced, we are taking a group photograph just in front of the building, after which we'll come and rearrange this place.